tonight, there are new questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her 5-year-old daughter last year.
They come after Prince William's police chief ruled the investigating officer had violated department policy. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey spoke to the driver's defense attorney about why he thinks the finding casts doubt on the case.
Mustafa Al-Jaziri has been behind bars for almost a year now, accused of intentionally driving his car into oncoming traffic, a crash that killed Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter, Empress. Initially charged with manslaughter, the charges were later upgraded to second-degree murder. Al-Jaziri's family insists the crash was an accident. The defendant's brothers filed an internal affairs complaint with the Prince William County Police, alleging the investigating officer, quote, falsified a portion of his police report to say that the couple was arguing before the crash. Al-Jaziri's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al-Jaziri family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, "The investigation revealed that Master Police Officer Drum violated department policy, therefore appropriate corrective action has been taken." Al-Jaziri hired a new defense attorney, Blake Weiner, who tells me he specializes in police misconduct cases.
The police report talks about my client saying, "I know what happened." He didn't say that. The police report also says that they were arguing in the car. He didn't say that. These are not only these material facts and material misrepresentations, they're the foundation of the government's case.
Weiner says without the incriminating statement, there's no proof Al-Jaziri crashed the car intentionally. Police will not disclose specifically what led to the finding that the investigating officer violated department policy. In a statement, a spokesman writes, "The community can be rest assured the very minor administrative errors that were uncovered and addressed will not have a negative impact on the double murder charges the accused is facing in the deaths of a mother and her 5-year-old daughter." And the Commonwealth's attorney also telling me the policy violation will not impact the case, writing, "The letter has no impact on our case or the charges we brought. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report and had already provided that information to the defense." Court documents filed by prosecutors say there is other evidence supporting the charges, including dash cam video from the vehicle. But there's no audio on the recording.
There's no audio.
They claim they don't have
on a $500
audio of the
dash
camera. But here they are telling the public they were arguing. So if they don't have audio, and my client didn't say they're arguing despite the police report saying so, what's their basis? We don't know.
Weiner says his next step as the newest defense attorney on this case will be to seek bond for his client. The trial now set for December.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Mohammed. So NBC4 puts out a narrative, and they only put out the narrative for the police department, for the prosecutor, for the Commonwealth attorney. But here we have a file that show every police report in the Mustafa Al-Jaziri case is falsified. Now, I remind this community, when you get on this podcast, you don't have to take my word for it. I have the file that Commonwealth Amy Ashworth is sealing for over 2 years. Now, you can take the narrative of the Commonwealth attorney who tells you because she's a Commonwealth attorney, it's not going to release any piece of evidence. Or you can jump on this podcast and I'll show you the file that she's hiding. I'll show you the body cams that show every police report is falsified in the Mustafa Al-Jaziri case. Now, we just watched NBC4 and they claim that there's no audio. Now, we've got documents that show they're in possession of the audio. Now, before we jump into all that, this podcast is dedicated for Judge Carol Weimer, the presiding judge. Judge Carol Weimer sealed off this file. Amy Ashworth went to Judge Carol Weimer and asked him to seal it, and he let her seal it. Now, really quick, before we jump in, we keep talking about Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. I mean, I think this community should know who we're talking about. Mohammed, if you do me a favor, if you go over to exhibit Judge Weimer, we have you here.
I find it to be a challenge, and I find it to be an opportunity to serve the Commonwealth.
This is a video clip from, I believe it's a judicial review when he was going over for a review. And every time I watch this, I can't help but feel his answer is like, it's as if he's applying to work for McDonald's, and his answer is, I feel like it's a challenge. And let me watch that again.
I find it to be a challenge, and I find it to be an opportunity to serve the Commonwealth.
An opportunity to serve the Commonwealth, where you're definitely not serving the Commonwealth when you're presiding over a case of falsified police reports, and you're allowing and covering up for the prosecutor and the Commonwealth attorney. I mean, Judge Weimer, why did you seal this file? Because when I opened this file, every police report is falsified. Now, Mohammed, specifically, when we go over to Officer Zymas, now I understand Officer Zymas took the stand in a motion to dismiss.
That's right.
You know, I want to go into a video that you posted a couple of days ago where the Commonwealth attorney on the record would say this dash camera does not have audio. Our Commonwealth attorney, Amy Ashworth, on the record claimed that there is no audio.
Sarah Sammy, specifically.
Specifically, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. And then we have a document in the file where Officer Zymas, digital forensic out of the police department, says the complete opposite. Now, which one is it? These are two government officials
From the same side.
from the same side saying two different things. One says audio, they have the audio. One says we don't have the audio. Let me play.
I mean, it shouldn't be a puzzle, or it shouldn't be this difficult. The prosecutor gets their information from the police department. So where is the disconnect? I mean, I can tell you there is no disconnect. The truth of the matter is they have to find Mustafa guilty one way or another. I mean, you can see that through the documents. You can see that through the files that we have, that they want to go with a narrative, and when the facts don't align with the narrative, they change the narrative. I mean, they changed it over and over. There's so many times where she's charged him, Amy Ashworth, charged Mustafa 3 different times. She initially charged him with DUI, and when that didn't work out, they switched it to involuntary manslaughter. When that didn't work out, they changed it to second-degree murder. And when that doesn't work out, now it's first-degree murder. But it seems like these prosecutors, Sarah Sammy specifically, they just want to charge Mustafa one way or another. He has to be guilty. Either he was speeding, either he was on drugs, and now he's intentional. When none of the facts match the narrative, all they do is switch up the narrative. And you can't tell. You are not supposed to be able to tell what the narrative is, because all these documents are under a judgment order seal, which means you're not allowed to look at them. Mustafa's not allowed to look at them. His lawyer is not allowed to look at any of these documents. So behind closed doors, they just change up the narrative over and over and over.
I wonder why.
I
wonder why. I wonder why. As soon as the officers gets on the scene, and you can watch that in the police body cam, as soon as the police get on the scene, they condemn Mustafa guilty from the first moment they get on the scene. I wonder why.
You know, you can see the officer's attitude towards Mustafa's character specifically. When the officer is, we just watched this body cam before we went live. When the officer is talking to the other driver, and he's telling her about the passengers of the other vehicle. He says there's the passenger passed away. The little girl is in critical care. And then
you're specifically talking about the body cam when Investigator Davis goes into the room with the SUV driver, and he's talking to her in
By
the
the way,
hospital.
this is April 5th, right after the accident. He goes to interview her, and the first thing he tells her is
Within hours.
within hours. They haven't looked at the data recorder. They haven't looked at the. Actually, they haven't even reconstructed the scene. They haven't even scanned the scene with their equipment. They haven't even interviewed Mustafa. I mean, none of that information has come together yet. And Investigator Davis, he says he just came on, yet he has so much information, okay, and he's already condemning Mustafa guilty. He's already telling the other driver, I'm not investigating the crash. I'm not investigating your vehicle. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I mean, you were in the clear. This is before he said he just got on shift.
I wonder why.
Okay.
I wonder why immediately they would condemn Mustafa guilty.
And then the other driver's family member or friend that's in the hospital room, he says, "Well, what about the driver?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't have any information on him. I don't have any information."
Mohammed, I want to play a piece of evidence for you. Now, at one point, we contacted the lawyer that Mustafa had retained before the vehicle accident. Mustafa had a lawsuit against the police. That it was a lawsuit from 2018, over $500,000 lawsuit from 2018 that dragged all the way to the vehicle accident. Now, when we contacted that lawyer and we told him they falsified Mustafa's police report, they beat the correctional officer, would go into his cell, beat him, and abuse him, and are denying him medical. Let me play that phone call for you. This is Thomas Plovchan. That was the attorney that Mustafa had at the time. So we'll reach out to this attorney. And he says, I have no doubt. Mohammed, this lawyer says, I have no doubt that they falsified Mustafa's police report, that they beat Mustafa inside the jail because he had a lawsuit against the police. Let me pull up the phone call.
The investigator that wrote the report, he lied on the report. We recorded that conversation.
I'm sure he did.
Yes, sir.
Frankly, I'm sure they all know that you sued the Stafford cops. And they beat your brother up because they know that you sued the Stafford cops.
Yes, sir. I mean, what does this lawyer know that we don't know? You know what I mean? I mean, this is the lawyer that sued Stafford County. He sued the police for Mustafa, for Mustafa's family. What does he know that we don't know at that point in time to say that the police beat him up or the jail beat him up because he sued the police department?
I mean, I keep going back to this phone call. I keep going back to what this lawyer says. Because when I watch the body cams, I mean, it's disturbing. As soon as the officer gets on scene, he says, we've been watching Mustafa. Mustafa, at that point, Mustafa was in a coma in front of his vehicle. And this officer already knows his name. He says, we've been watching him. And he began to lie about Mustafa. He says, knowing him is drug related. Where are the police reports? Where are Mustafa's toxicology? No alcohol, no drugs. But you have an officer that gets on the scene and began to paint Mustafa as a drug user, that this accident, knowing him. Where are those police reports? Let me play a body cam for you.
You know, not only that, but you're gonna go into that document later, and you can see that the search warrant that was issued for Mustafa says, where Drum in his affidavit, he says it was for his blood. He wrote up a search warrant for his blood, and he says this blood is gonna show that Mustafa is under the influence, and he's so sure about it. Okay.
And then he tested blood, no alcohol, no drugs.
This is on April 6th. So it was the very next day where he issued that search warrant to the hospital. He's asking for Mustafa's blood. And he says in the affidavit to the search warrant that there's definitely going to be drugs in his system. Okay, this is the narrative, by the way. This is the narrative on April 5th, right after the accident.
By the way, they kept that narrative all the way from April, all the way until October.
Until you complained to the police department that Robert Drum falsified Mustafa's statements. Okay, and then immediately, what does the police department do?
5 days later, they upgraded it. They upgrade Mustafa's charges from DUI to murder.
Exactly.
5 days. Within 5 days, the Commonwealth Attorney retaliates and she upgrades it to murder. Now, Mom, if you do me a favor, if you go over to exhibits, this is Mustafa's toxicology report. And if you see here, blood alcohol non-detected. So there's no alcohol in Mustafa's system. Right there. Blood alcohol non-detected. THC 0.0003.
Can you pull up the warrant?
Yeah. So no alcohol, no drugs. Now, they've held Mustafa from April until
October
on a DUI. Let me pull up the warrant for you.
Is that the right one? What does it say up there?
Can you see it on your screen or no?
No.
Yeah. They sent us a letter admitting that they violated department policy. I mean, what I find disturbing is when we submitted the audio, there's a recording that Muhammad recorded between Mustafa and the investigator. That this investigator clearly falsified Mustafa's statements. This investigator wrote in his police report that Mustafa was arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle. Now and that Mustafa told the investigator that he was arguing with his girlfriend.
So
now, when you listen to the recording, Mustafa never said that. We submit that recording to the police department. Immediately, within 5 days, the Commonwealth Attorney dropped the charges and she upgrades it to murder. I mean, how does that make any sense? And the disturbing part is Internal Affairs gave the audio to this investigator, and conveniently he says, I couldn't hear the content of the phone call conversation, of the audio. Now, what's disturbing is that when we sat down with Internal Affairs, I recorded our conversation with First Sergeant Sean Shelton. It's a 90-minute conversation. I put it on YouTube, and you can clearly hear that phone call conversation. So how does it make sense that Internal Affairs gives the audio recording to the same investigator that falsified the police report, only to put in a supplemental report that in it he says, I couldn't hear the content of the conversation? I mean,
he said it's unclear.
It's unclear.
You know what I find interesting is you have all these body cams that you keep playing over and over again, where Drum is talking to Elizabeth Lee, the nurse. He's talking to so-called Amy Hodson. He's talking to Glenn Ford. He's talking to Derek, Dorothy's half-brother. He's talking to Divine. He's talking to all these people on body cam. It's clear as day. The audio is crisp clear. But somehow Mustafa's conversation, he can't hear it. And it's missing from the case file.
Well, when you open evidence.com, the conversation between investigator Robert Drum and Mustafa is not there.
Exactly. Why isn't it there?
What's disturbing is when you read the police report, it's a half an hour conversation, 30-minute conversation. Now, when you read the police report, it's written word for word, the conversation he had with Mustafa. Now, how could you be so accurate on a 30-minute conversation
where you have everything organized exactly as it's playing out in the conversation?
Unless there is a body cam.
Unless you record
and they left it out of the evidence.com.
I mean, I have
Mustafa's file.
I have a theory as to why they left it out. My theory is, I mean, if you listen to the conversation he has with Amy Hodson, or supposedly Amy Hodson, she says she's Amy Hodson, you can hear his wife in the background, Robert Drum.
You're talking about Evelyn Horton.
Evelyn Horton, when he's talking to her, his wife is on three-way call on that phone call. I mean, this is
the wife that does not work for the police department.
Doesn't work for the police
I
department.
mean, let that sink in. His wife is on three-way while he's talking to supposedly a witness. So, what's his wife's name? We looked her up.
Stephanie Claiborne?
Stephanie Claiborne, Drum. Doesn't work for the police department, but she's sitting on an investigation.
I mean, he's
on
sitting
an
there.
active investigation.
He's sitting there muting Amy Hodson. He's talking to his wife.
And that's on a body cam.
And then he's telling his wife that Evelyn Horton sent an email to the police department. So he's forwarding that to his wife. And she's talking to him. She's in school or some class. And he's like, I just emailed it to you.
By the way, at the time, I remember at the time on my TikTok page, I remember, you know how TikTok tells you who looks at your page? Stephanie Drum was on my page.
Was on your page. Okay. I mean, she's actively on the internet putting out photos from this sealed discovery. Okay. She's putting out information about this case that the county says is sealed. Okay. The county says no one's allowed to have this information.
Yeah.
Okay. Yet Robert Drum is on the phone with his wife, giving her the email that Evelyn Horton emailed him. He's actively having a conversation while interviewing a witness. And I think my theory is when he had that phone call with Mustafa, I think he was on a four-way call with Evelyn Horton and his wife. And he would mute Mustafa as he's talking, as Mustafa's answering. He would mute him, and there's this conversation going on behind the scenes. I mean, you look at this police department, they claim they investigated the phone call between Mustafa and Robert Drum. And they say that Robert Drum, he violated department policy. Yet the police department doesn't want to tell us what this violation is.
At the time, they didn't want to tell us.
They don't want to, I mean, they still haven't said
They still haven't said anything.
They still haven't said what the violation was. Amy Ashworth tells a community leader by the name of Rafi.
Rafi at Islamic Center out of Manassas.
What is it called exactly?
We can look it up.
Dar Noor?
Dar Noor.
Dar Noor Islamic Center in Manassas. She tells the leader.
I think we should do a podcast in front of Dar Noor. Now that we have a mobile podcast, we can go there and do one.
So she tells that community leader when he's questioning her about why are you still holding this man if this is a car accident? And how can an investigator falsify this man's statements? Because Rafi listened to the phone call and he looked at the report and he's saying it's not matching. Okay. So he went out and called Amy Ashworth because he has a good relationship with her. And he says, this is a Muslim. He's a member of our community. And I'd like to know how you can have an investigator falsify this man's statements and you're holding him in solitary confinement based on these falsifications. And she tells Rafi that Robert Drum, they investigated and they had reprimanded Robert Drum. That's what they tell him.
How?
Now,
I mean, he still worked for the police department. He's still doing truck inspections.
This is what she's telling Rafi. This is what the
This is the narrative that she's putting out.
This is what the Commonwealth attorney
that she held him accountable
is telling this community leader not to worry. We have already punished this officer for lying on this case.
Punished him how?
I mean, we know they haven't punished him because we have the full report. There's no punishment.
Mohammed, I've got the supplemental report that says Internal Affairs gave the phone call recording to Robert Drum.
And told him, go listen to this, go fix your mistake.
And then he said, I couldn't hear the content of the conversation when the audio is crystal clear.
I mean, Judge
Weimer heard it.
And when he heard it, he gave Mustafa a bond.
He gave Mustafa a bond. He watched the dash camera and he listened to the phone call conversation. And he gave Mustafa a bond only for 7 days later for Prosecutor Sarah Sammy to come back with, she says things without evidence.
Basically,
and Judge
she
Weimer
came back with some BS.
And Judge Weimer he entertained it and he revokes Mustafa's bond on where the prosecutor doesn't give any evidence to what she says in court.
You know, it makes you wonder if this whole, these hearings that took place with the bond and the one after where he revoked it, it makes you wonder if these were planned hearings. Like they've already predetermined that they're going to give out this bond and then they're going to revoke it a week later. And the reason why I say that is because Mustafa's had like over 10, 12, 15 hearings since he's been held. And the media never showed up to none of these hearings except for the bond and the revocation. I mean, there was a huge motion to dismiss, okay, that took over 6 hours. And the media is nowhere to be seen.
I mean, I find it disturbing. In Mustafa's bond, the prosecutor plays 4 seconds of Mustafa's dash camera, and it's a chopped up piece of dash camera where she takes 2 seconds in the somewhere in the middle, and then 2 seconds toward the end, and then she shows Judge Weimer, and she tells him, Judge Weimer, this is the dash camera. I find it disturbing that his defense attorney at the time did not play the full dash camera for Judge Weimer. I mean, I can sit here and blame the prosecutor. I can sit here and blame the judge. Why did his defense attorney at the time not play the full dash camera? And then two, in the file, there's a CCTV video from the jail where the prosecutor claimed that Mustafa threatened a correctional officer. There's a witness, there's a recording in the file. There's a CCTV video that clearly says that jail officers are the one that went in, beat Mustafa because they're retaliating against Mustafa being a witness in an 18-year-old that was murdered on the hand of a correctional officer. A couple of inmates came forward. Mustafa is one of them. And the jail retaliated by beating up Mustafa. Mm-hmm. Now, they turned around and they said Mustafa threatened a correctional officer. There is evidence in the file that show Mustafa never threatened a correctional officer. Why wasn't his defense attorney telling the judge and showing the judge the evidence?
I mean, if you listen closely to what Prosecutor Sammy said in that bond revocation, she said that Mustafa told a correctional officer that I'm going to come after you. I'm going to hold you accountable. Okay, I'm going to file a big lawsuit against you. That's what she says. That's what she's telling a judge. I mean, in America, you have a right to sue someone that is abusing you, especially...
You mind if I see this real quick?
Especially someone that is wearing a badge and a uniform. You have a right to sue them because if you're being mistreated...
Mustafa was beaten up inside the jail, carried unconscious from one cell into another cell, half naked, and they were still hitting him on the head and kicking him.
It's not a threat to say I'm going to sue you. That's not a threat.
Mom, do me a favor. Go over to exhibits. I want to play the video.
That's a promise. Anyways, I mean,
can you lower the volume on this or no? Well, I can adjust
the sound real quick. Go ahead.
This is 6 giant correctional officer that go into Mustafa's cell only to carry out an unconscious Mustafa.
I mean, you got to think back to May 24th.
And they deny him medical.
May 24th. Like, what was happening? What was happening around May 24th?
We were telling his defense attorney that we have proof. This defense attorney was working with the investigator that falsified the police report, that we were going to release the audio that you recorded between Mustafa and this investigator, that this investigator falsified Mustafa's statements.
I mean, what was so significant about May that these jail officers felt the need to go in and punish Mustafa for what the prosecutor and this investigator was saying about him? They were calling him a child killer. They were calling him all kinds of nasty names inside the jail. Okay, and these officers took it upon themselves to impose punishment on someone who is a pretrial detainee who hasn't had his day in court. And this jail has officers that feel like they can go outside their job duties and impose punishment. Okay, and that's against the law. I mean, in this country, if you're accused of a crime, you are innocent until you are proven guilty.
Not in Mustafa's case. As soon as officers showed up on site, they're blaming him and they're saying he's at fault.
And they put him in solitary confinement from day one. Okay, this is a torture tactic. Okay, I mean, the video speaks for itself.
You know, I love how the FBI got involved only to say this video doesn't exist. The FBI out of the local FBI's out of the Manassas field office.
I'm still trying to find this voicemail.
This is Mustafa's injuries 2 weeks after we were allowed to see Mustafa. His head has all bumps. His arm is 3 times the size of a normal arm. I mean, the FBI, the local FBI out of the Manassas field office didn't see the CCTV video of an inmate. And you can't say another inmate beat him up because this is an inmate, a solitary confined inmate. The only person that has access to Mustafa is correctional officers. So you want to tell me the FBI did not see this CCTV video?
Can I send you this? Can you play it?
Yeah.
You know, I asked you, like, what was so special about May? What was happening in May? And I think this this voicemail from Mustafa's previous attorney, I think is going to shed some light. Is your airdrop on?
Yeah.
Or you want me to text it to you?
You could, yeah, it doesn't matter.
There you go. This was May of 2023. Let me go ahead and put the volume up.
Oh, you got to put the volume up.
Oh, yeah, right there. The top one.
Hi, it's Casey Stevens.
I don't think the sound's come through.
I just wanted to give you an update. I went to. Hi, it's Casey Stevens. I just wanted to give you an update. I went to the jail and met with Moses today. He is not in need of any medical assistance. He is
This is before the
getting
beating.
books now.
Before they beat
when
him.
he was having problems before. He is not having any cognitive issues, any mental issues that affect his ability to think logically about things. He had expressed on several occasions while I was with him that he didn't understand why he was there. I believe that is just frustration on his part because I walked him through why he was there, what he is charged with, why he has not been released yet, all of these things. And he understood all of those things. And it's important that he understand all those things because if he doesn't, then I have to do some things with the court to get him properly evaluated if that becomes an issue. But I don't believe it is an issue. He's just very sad and frustrated that he's there. And he believes that people are lying about what happened. And but he does understand why he does not have bond at this point after our conversation. And he does understand that we're working on getting additional information, as I discussed with you all, that if our accident reconstruction folks can identify something with the vehicle that may have contributed to this accident, then I believe that he'll get out just as soon as we're able to do that. Because now the government's theory that he was intentionally doing something is no longer the only. And given the fact that he has no prior criminal record, etc., then this is an accident, perhaps entirely, and therefore not a criminal offense at all. So, but that's what we're working on, and he understands. Give me a call if you have any questions, any concerns. I know that you had, you or Jason had sent me emails today. I have not gotten to those yet. I've been in court. in any event. Give me a call if you have questions or concerns.
You know what's really weird? That Casey Stevens has a body cam in Mustafa's file. Go over to exhibit. There's a body cam. I mean, he's talking about reconstruction, the accident. I mean, at the time, we paid Casey Stevens $5,000 to hire an independent expert to reconstruct the accident, investigate Mustafa's vehicle, and the SUV, the other vehicle. Now, at the time, there's a body cam in the file where the police inspected the vehicle and they find brake failure in Mustafa's vehicle. Do me a favor, go over to exhibits. Why would Casey Stevens not talk about that body cam?
I mean, not only that, but he says as soon as they inspect the vehicle and they identify something wrong with it, then Mustafa will be out, because now it's no longer just the prosecutor's theory that this was intentional, that there is something wrong with this vehicle. I mean, this is Casey Stevens, who, by the way, has the same file that you're going to play, like this body cam.
Do me a favor, go over to exhibit.
He already had access to this body cam at the time. So,
brake didn't engage.
Did you hear what he just said? Brake did not engage. There is brake failure in his, when you watch the body cam, the full body cam, there is brake failure in his front passenger caliper and the back passenger caliper.
Can you pull up the inspection?
Yeah.
There's a document.
In case you even already had this.
It's, I think, right there. Okay,
Yeah.
let me pull it up real quick. Okay. I mean, let's take a look at this really quick. They inspected Mustafa's vehicle. They went through a itemized list of inspecting every component of his vehicle. Now, when you get to the brakes, let me see what it says.
I can read it for you.
Yeah. If you can just zoom in on that paragraph, I think it's number 3.
The right rear brake did not engage.
Go back. Let me see. Hold on. Like right there, where it says there was.
Zoom in right here. Okay. Do you want to read that?
Oh, let me make a full screen. So it says there was sufficient fluid in the reservoir when brakes was depressed using a large rod. 3 of the 4 brakes functioned as they should. The right rear brake did not engage, but the cause of this failure could not be determined. Okay. Now, they couldn't determine what the cause of the failure. Again, this is their own words. They're saying that his brakes had failure. And if you look at the body cams in more detail, where the officer is asking the inspector, he's saying, well, could this have happened from the impact, from the car accident? And he says, well, I don't see any damage to the rotor. I don't see any damage to the caliper. I don't see any damage to the brake lines. I mean, you see right there, he says that the brake reservoir, which is the...
So it's not from the impact.
Which is the little tank that holds fluid.
So he's telling him it's not from the impact.
So he's saying there's no impact to the brakes at all.
Yeah.
The brake lines are all intact. The fluid hadn't leaked out. And 2 of the brakes worked. I mean, in this document, they say one of them didn't work. But on body cam, you can clearly hear them say that 2 of them did not function properly. And that the brakes were, I think the other brakes that allegedly did work, they were sticky. So there is brake failure. Okay?
I mean, the computer inside the vehicle showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time.
Exactly. I mean,
but there's brake failure.
From this point, you go into the data recorder. Okay. What does the data recorder show? Was he speeding? No, he wasn't. He was.
You have the document?
Yeah, let me see. I think I sent it to you.
Which one is it?
I should say data recorder.
I mean, the disturbing part about the whole thing is Casey Stevens
I'll send it
would.
to you again.
Okay, Casey Stevens would hire a crash reconstructionist, and on a body cam, they have a judge order to inspect for this independent expert to inspect Mustafa's vehicle, inspect the other vehicle, and on body cam, the investigator that falsified Mustafa's police report wouldn't let the investigator touch the vehicle. But when you read the police report says that they let this crash reconstructionist touch the vehicle. That's a complete lie.
Exactly. And there was a judge order to have this vehicle inspected by a independent body, an independent expert. And they flat out denied it. I mean, they denied Mustafa the right to examine the evidence.
You know, going back to what you said earlier, why did 6 correctional officer go into Mustafa's cell only to take him out unconscious, half naked and unconscious? Why did they beat him? I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, what was happening at that time that they felt the need to go in and beat Mustafa?
Because they knew at the time that his car was going to get inspected. The lawyer is telling you, if we find a failure in this vehicle, mechanical failure, then I'm going to get you out. Okay? So, and specifically, Casey Stevens says Mustafa has no mental issues. He's understanding everything that I'm saying. He understands what's going on. And immediately after they beat him, you find out that the prosecutor is pushing the courts to have Mustafa psychologically or mentally evaluated by one of their psychologists, okay? And Casey Stevens, after they beat Mustafa, he called us and he said, well, we need to have him mentally evaluated.
Wait, but he told you there's nothing wrong with Mustafa.
He just said there's nothing wrong with him.
I mean, we just listened to a phone call before Mustafa was beaten up by a correctional officer that there's nothing wrong with Mustafa. He doesn't need to mentally evaluate him. There's nothing wrong with him.
So then they beat him. And now the lawyer and the county are both plotting to have Mustafa mentally evaluated after they beat him.
Wait, don't we have a body cam where the investigator that falsified the police report is talking
conspiring.
The investigator, Robert Drum, that falsified the police report with the investigator conspiring to get Mustafa mentally evaluated, and how the investigator is pushing the defense attorney to get it done, and he's telling him, I just can't get it done fast enough. I don't think I can get it. I don't think there is anybody available from the county.
And I remember specifically when I had that conversation with Casey Stevens, I said, well, if you need to do a mental evaluation, we would like to hire someone from outside the county.
He absolutely refused that you bring in your evaluator. He wanted to use their evaluators.
Not only that, but he said if you're going to pay for one, then I'm going to pick one that I know. Okay? And if you don't want to pay for it, then we'll go with the counties. I mean, I don't understand how you're trying to tie our hands into getting a mental evaluation either from someone that you know or someone that the county is going to assign. Why? I mean, shouldn't Mustafa have the right, if you want to do a mental evaluation, shouldn't he have a right to have an independent expert?
What changed? I mean, what changed from the phone call that he called you?
And I'll tell you, it's a good thing we didn't go with Casey Stevens, because we saw what happened when Casey Stevens picks out a crash reconstructionist on his own. They do the inspection and they don't write a report. And I mean, till this day, Mustafa, who essentially paid for a service, doesn't know what the report says. We know what it should say, because according to the police, there's brake failure. But looking at the body cams, they didn't allow an independent expert to examine the car. And whatever he did examine, Casey Stevens hit it. He took it. And he told the person not to write a report.
To this day, the written report is not there. So you pay $5,000.
What I'm trying to say is, imagine if you had paid him to pick a psychologist that would go in and do an analysis of Mustafa's mental health, and this person is just going to say whatever the county wants him to say.
Now, at the
And then
time,
they're going to hide the report, and you don't know what's being done, and you paid for it.
I mean, at the time, we didn't know this when we hired this defense attorney. By the way, this defense attorney was sent to us from the county. We went to a lawyer office. We attempted to retain a lawyer, and then it said, at night, I'm going to send you a lawyer. Casey Stevens called us. This lawyer says, he calls us on the phone. Now, at the time, we didn't know this, and he wanted $55,000. At the time, he wanted $45,000 up front. And that he was going to have Mustafa have the whole case. Mustafa's going to come home before, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And at the time, we didn't know, so we gave him $45,000. Now, all you need to do is do a quick search, and you'll find that Casey Stevens, back in 2016, had gotten in a vehicle, was under the influence, ran away from the scene, and
Crashed his car. And
crashed his vehicle, and
caused significant damage, and fled the scene. And he
Now-
was caught by none other than
he only
Robert
got
Drum.
he only got 90 days suspended.
90 days suspended
And
for a DUI, crashing your car and fleeing the scene.
And the officer that was the
arresting officer.
The arresting officer is the same investigator today falsifying Mustafa's statements. And you want to tell me that's random? I mean, everything that we're looking in this file, this defense attorney worked with the investigator, took our money, only to cover up for this investigator. And here's a part that's disturbing. You don't have to take my word for it. Go search him up. You'll find him in 2016.
Yep.
That Robert Drum is the arresting officer. The body cam that we're releasing, he's conspiring with this investigator against Mustafa. And they're attempting to brainwash this crash reconstructionist to not even write the report. And what do we have today? He never wrote the report.
He never wrote the report. And he said, when I talked to him, he said, I was told not to write a report. I was told not to put my findings in writing in a report. I was asked to verbally tell Casey Stevens what my findings were. I mean, we're looking at the photo of the car. Okay, we can definitely tell there's only, this was a T-bone accident, that there's damage from the passenger side of the Suburban, that she had turned into him, according to Robert Drum.
I mean, why the mystery?
Why the mystery?
I mean,
you've got planes today.
Exactly.
You've got planes today that are being accidents that are being reconstructed on airplanes. Yet here you have a dash cam that recorded everything allegedly, but the last second.
You know, when I talked to Mustafa,
And they can't reconstruct 1 second.
the defense attorney, after we fired Casey Stevens, the defense attorney, Blake Weiner, we retained Blake Weiner. And when I talked to Blake Weiner, he says he's in possession of the report from the accident reconstructionist, but he won't show it to me.
I mean, I don't know how he can be in possession of something that was never written. According to the company, the guy that did the inspection, he said, I never wrote a report. So how can anybody tell you they have a report of something that was never written? That doesn't exist.
You know, I'll tell you.
Why is it a mystery? Again, why is it a mystery? You paid for
To
a
this
service.
day, they haven't reconstructed this accident. Now,
There's a reason.
Now, I'll tell you why. Before you go into this document, Mohammed, I want to play a body cam for you. And on scene, you'll see the main investigator. Well, let's watch that body cam. And essentially, this is why the file is sealed. This is why they won't reconstruct the accident.
He spun twice because the damage is on the right, which caused him to flip that way. So,
And then it finally broke off with Soup.
so that's her.
They're coming in sideways.
Yep.
Gets popped, rotates.
She just rolls backwards.
So here's the question: which way did they? Because she comes straight, she hits.
She would have turned into it.
Did you hear what he just said?
She would have turned into it.
She would have turned. This is, by the way, this is on site. The main investigator, Robert Drum. This is a sealed body cam. The main investigator that essentially later falsified Mustafa's statement and said, "You told me that you were arguing inside the vehicle." And the recording showed that Mustafa never said that. This investigator falsified Mustafa's statement. But on a body cam, he says Mustafa cleared all the vehicles, made it into the fourth lane, and the SUV is the one that turned into Mustafa. Now, I remind this community, this is Mustafa who they said murdered his family. But yet the investigator on a sealed body cam that this community is not allowed to see is saying that Mustafa cleared all the vehicle, made it to the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Now, what do we see when we examine the computer inside that SUV that turned into Mustafa? We see that the driver was speeding. The driver never hit the brake. She's under the influence. And 2 years into it,
it's in the data recorder.
we're sitting here. It's in the data recorder of her vehicle. We're sitting here. Why did they not the reason they didn't reconstruct the accident, because once you do,
it's going to show
you can no longer say this is murder, this is intentional. It's going to show that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. 2 years in solitary confinement. And you can't reconstruct this vehicle accident?
Not only that. Not only that. They're terrified of any independent expert coming in to simply look at the Chevy Suburban, the other vehicle. They're terrified. Okay, a judge granted an independent expert to examine the vehicles, and then you see on body cam Casey Stevens, Robert Drum, the independent expert who's ready to examine the Suburban, and they're telling him, nope, it's off limits. You can't.
But in the police report, they don't say that. In the police report, they say that we let this expert examine the vehicle.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
Clearly a lie.
That's a lie.
He asked to look at the Suburban, which was but you can see it in the background, and they said, no, it's off limits. Casey Stevens never pushed back on it.
His own defense attorney.
A prosecutor is there, a prosecutor who knows the judge ordered an examination of the vehicles. Essentially, why would it make sense that he's only allowed to examine one vehicle? This is a vehicle accident. When you call,
they wouldn't let him examine Mustafa's vehicle. He can only take pictures of it.
You can only take pictures
when there's a judge order. Essentially, how could you reconstruct this accident if you can't touch the vehicle?
You go back to the beginning of what this case is all about. It's a car accident. It's a car accident. The bare minimum should be to allow the person you're accusing to examine the vehicle. It's a vehicle accident. How can you not allow the person that's being charged to examine his own vehicle?
Muhammad, he had a lawsuit. He had over $500,000 lawsuit against the police. And the minute he gets in a vehicle accident, they take advantage of it. This is Officer Casey Fine. As soon as he gets on scene, he already knew exactly who he's dealing with. They've been watching him, his family.
Officer Casey
Fines.
He says he called Officer Duplessis, who has been watching Mustafa. And right away, he gets Mustafa's name, he gets Dorothy's name, he gets all the other children's names listed on that paper. And it's crazy. It's crazy that Officer Casey Fines, who has all that information, doesn't transfer this information to the hospital. Because according to Fairfax Hospital, Empress was still labeled as Jane Doe.
Oh, that's right.
All the
That's
way
right.
up until the next day.
That's right. 5-year-old Empress is labeled as a John Doe.
Jane Doe.
Jane Doe.
They don't have any information on her. Yet we see from the very beginning, when everybody was still on scene, you see Casey Fine's notebook. You can see Mustafa's name, Dorothy, Empress, Javen, Imagine, and Pharaoh. All these names are listed on his notepad. Why was that information not transferred to the hospital?
By the way, this is Officer Duplessis with Prince William County Police Department, and you'll hear Casey Fines say that Officer Duplessis has been watching Mustafa. And the question is, why have you been watching Mustafa?
Exactly. Why is an officer following a citizen around?
Yeah? You don't remember his name?
Mustafa is his name.
Mustafa.
I called Duplessis. I got his name, mom's name, and kid's name.
Mom's name and kid's name.
By the way, that's Mustafa in a coma in front of his vehicle.
I mean, you got a man
That
in a
is
car
Mustafa
accident.
right there.
And this...
You see that vehicle behind him? Mustafa is laying in a coma in front of his vehicle. And then that same officer began to narrate how a horrible human being Mustafa is, that he had contact with him, that Mustafa was on drugs. But when you open the file, there's no police report that Officer Casey Fine actually made contact with Mustafa, and Mustafa is under. I mean, he paints Mustafa, knowing him, this is drug related. And then he begins this chain reaction that the main investigator.
Look, you can pull up the warrant, the one I just sent you, okay? And you can clearly see that the accident was on April 5th, and immediately Robert Drum, Chad Mason, Davis, Romero, they're all getting together to put this narrative that this man is on drugs. Okay, I mean, they issued a warrant for his blood. Okay, and he's 100% certain in his affidavit. He says there's drugs in the car. This guy is out of it, and the blood results are going to show that he's under the influence.
Mustafa, there's no alcohol, no drugs. That's his toxicology report.
Pull up that warrant. I mean, he flat out lied on the warrant. And by the way, this warrant was written the day after. So Mustafa was in the hospital after the accident. They drew his blood. They tested it. No alcohol, no drugs. Yet Robert Drum still wrote this warrant. He still wrote the warrant with all this fake information.
You're talking about this warrant. And by the way, they kept Mustafa on a DUI from April all the way until October. And they only looked into his file until...
It's this one?
And
then this is the following one. So this one, and then that's the next page.
Yeah, Mom, they kept it until from April. I mean, they kept Mustafa under a DUI, charged with a DUI. I mean, here's a problem. Mustafa's toxicology, no alcohol, no drugs. But you keep Mustafa from April until October on a DUI, and then when you submit an audio recording that this investigator had falsified Mustafa's statement, the Commonwealth attorney, instead of fixing it, she'll retaliate. Within 5 days, she dropped the DUI and then says, I'm going to charge him with murder. I mean, how does that make any sense?
Okay, check this out. Look, check this out. So investigator Drum claims that he spoke to Mustafa on April 5th when he arrived on scene. That's a lie. We have the body cam. Robert Drum never spoke to Mustafa. Okay, but this is what he wrote in his the material facts constituting probable cause that the search should be made. On April 5th, 2023, I responded to the area of Dumfries Road and Fortuna.
I mean, we have the body cams. That's a lie.
Fortuna Center Plaza for a crash. Once on scene, the driver of a black four-door sedan was being removed from the driver's seat. I spoke to this driver, Mr. Mustafa Al-Jazari, was not aware of his surroundings and seemed to be in a daze and slightly removed from the world.
Wait. The off-duty paramedic says Mustafa is in a concussion. He believes that Obama is the president.
He just got in a major car accident. What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? But this, I mean,
but you know, I'll tell you, investigator Robert Drum turns around to his police officer and he says the off-duty paramedic says Mustafa's on drugs. I have the body cam.
Robert Drum never spoke to Mustafa.
Yeah.
He never spoke to him. I mean, it's a lie from the beginning. He's saying that when he got on scene, he made contact with Mustafa. That's a lie. That's a complete lie. We have the body cam from the time Drum arrived until the time he left. And he never made contact with Mustafa.
Yeah.
And plus, if he's saying on this search warrant, okay, if he's saying that he made contact with Mustafa, why is it nowhere in any of the reports that he made contact with Mustafa and what Mustafa told him or what he observed? It's a lie. Okay, this is what he says. He says that Mustafa seemed to be in a daze and slightly removed from the world, consistent with a person whom is under the influence of a drug. During the investigation, it was learned the vehicle he was driving was traveling west on Dumfries Road when, for an unknown reason, it crossed sideways into eastbound traffic, having the right side collide with another vehicle. Both passengers in his car had serious injuries. Meth salts were removed from his person.
Oh, is he talking about Mustafa's prescription for Adderall?
He's talking about his prescription.
And you know what's really disturbing is at one point they pulled the prescription out of Mustafa's vehicle. They're like, oh, it's prescription. But he's going around telling other officers that Mustafa's on meth.
That he's methed out. That's what he says.
Interesting.
Okay, so...
And by the way, Mustafa's been on Adderall since he was 16 years old. He has a prescription for it. But you have a main investigator that's going around on scene telling witnesses and other officers that Mustafa is on meth.
Listen to this. He says, meth salts were removed from his person along with possible marijuana in the vehicle. The accused is also a known drug user, according to officers on the scene.
Based on Casey Fines and what Casey Fines says about Mustafa. But there is no police reports.
The admission blood would show any levels of drug or alcohol usage. And the results showed nothing. So
no alcohol and no drugs in Mustafa's system.
Hold on. So what did they do? They switch up the narrative. This is the game they play. They write up a warrant for DUI, and when it doesn't fit, after they get the blood, and by the way, they don't fix it right away. They wait 6 months. 6 months.
So from April all the way to when? October.
To October. Okay.
And by the way, they were what happened that they fixed it? We went to Internal Affairs and submitted an audio recording that this investigator, the main investigator, falsified Mustafa's statements. Within 5 days, the Commonwealth attorney drops the DUI, and then she retaliates by charging him with murder to protect her police officer, to protect her police department.
So in this same search warrant,
I mean, wait a minute. Isn't this the definition of malicious prosecution?
It's the definition of malicious prosecution. I mean, they're going to try to prosecute him no matter what. No matter what the facts are, they're going to always try to pin this charge on him. One way or another, they just have to get him. You know, I wonder why. It's possible he sued the police and they have it out for him.
You know, when Mustafa called from solitary confinement, Mustafa's been in solitary confinement for over 2 years. When I talk to Mustafa, he tells me, why was my family not airlifted? Now, on site, Dorothy, Mustafa's girlfriend, and 5-year-old Empress was stable. And there's a helicopter on standby. And they said that Mustafa did not need to be airlifted. Mustafa is in and out of consciousness, but was stable enough that didn't need to be airlifted. And the question is, why was his family not airlifted? Instead, they put him in an ambulance during rush hour, over an hour and a half away from the scene. I mean, is there neglect and they did not airlift? I mean, there's a body cam that's missing out of the whole entire file. When you log into evidence.com, Mustafa sealed file, the officer on site, the first officer that showed up, Officer Andrew Margiotta, the DC officer, he said, my body cam was on. I uploaded my body cam into the file. But yet when I opened the file, The body cam has been deleted.
By the
Why
way,
is that body cam deleted? I mean, why does Mustafa have to be guilty?
let me show you how quickly.
Is it the lawsuit? Is there neglect where they didn't airlift Mustafa's family? We'll get to the bottom of it.
Let me show you how quickly the narrative changes with Prince William County. So you're looking at this document that I just read. Okay. This was a search warrant for his blood. Okay. Immediately, by the way, immediately. Once they get the results of his blood, this is the next search warrant. This is for the dash camera in his car. Now, you look at the material facts constituting probable cause that the search should be made. I mean, it should be what they just said, right? What he just said.
Yeah.
That there's going to be, that this person has drugs in his system, that he's a known drug user. But look at how quickly the narrative changed the very next day. Okay. On April 5th, a 2-vehicle crash occurred in the area of Dumfries Road and Fortuna Center Plaza. 2 parties in the above listed vehicle died as a result of the crash. So this was immediately after Empress had passed away, the very next day. Okay, and look how fast the narrative changed. On April 6th, a search warrant for the above vehicle was obtained. During the search of the vehicle, it was discovered that the vehicle contained aftermarket items to include a GPS and a dash cam. These items were not specifically listed in the previous search warrant, but could contain valuable evidence to support the charge of reckless driving.
Reckless driving. Mustafa was not speeding.
That's not the point. The point is, the night before, you just said this is a DUI.
A DUI, yep.
And now, because it's not a DUI, it must be reckless driving.
I mean, that's the definition of malicious prosecution.
Listen, and then they get the data recorder, okay? The data recorder shows that he was on the brake the entire time and his brakes failed. So now it's no longer reckless driving. It's involuntary manslaughter, okay? And when you show the evidence that this was brake failure and you show that the officer falsified all this information, they take that back and they're like, okay, it's not involuntary manslaughter.
Now it's murder.
Now it's second-degree murder, okay? And the more evidence you present, the higher the charges go. The more you show that they're liars, the more that you show that they're falsifying this entire case, this whole thing is a sham. The charges just keep going up and up. It's retaliation.
Now, I remember at one point you were kicked out of the Commonwealth Attorney office for telling her there is Google Nest videos inside the apartment that shows Mustafa loves his family. I mean, this Commonwealth Attorney turned around and charged Mustafa with murder when there's evidence that showed this is a vehicle accident. You went to the Commonwealth Attorney at one point and wanted to give her the Google Nest videos that show that Mustafa loves his family.
I had it on a flash drive, and I was getting ready to give it to the Commonwealth Attorney.
Amy Ashworth,
because at the time, we gave it to Casey Stevens, and he never presented it in court. So we're thinking, I mean, if the lawyer is not presenting the evidence, why not just go to the source? Okay, give it to the prosecutor. Okay, the prosecutor is going to go based on facts, or at least we assumed at the time that prosecutors are going to go based on facts. And we're trying to give her these Google Nest videos from the apartment. You claim in court, Prosecutor Sarasami claims that Mustafa was so angry at Dorothy, he was so angry at Empress that he took them and committed this horrible act. And here I am telling the prosecutor, you're a liar. I have video to show that's not true. That's not what happened. Okay? I mean, apparently they already know the truth, but they just don't want to follow the truth. They want their narrative, and any information that they've obtained through this investigation, they're going to hide it, they're going to seal it, and they're going to say the opposite.
You were threatened by the sheriff's office?
Yeah, I was threatened. If you don't leave the office right now, we're going to have the sheriff escort you out.
So you're talking about a Commonwealth Attorney that seals off the file. So Mustafa's not allowed to see it. The family is not allowed to see any body cam, any document, anything in this file. Kicks you out of the office and threatens you with the sheriff's office. Refuse to take Google Nest videos that show Mustafa loves his family. I mean, and 2 years into it, the vehicle accident has not been reconstructed. I mean, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
It hasn't been reconstructed.
We're going to get to the bottom of it.
And the police department is not interested in any video from this so-called premeditated murder. I mean, You look at these true crime shows, when they get they get the geolocation from which tower your cell phone pinged off of, so they can tell where you were exactly at based on your phone signal. They go through all these details. Yet in this case, you have a so-called alleged premeditated murder. And the police department, the prosecutor, the county, they're not interested in videos from that apartment.
A murder case without a homicide detective.
Without a homicide detective.
Have you ever heard of a murder case without a homicide detective?
A double homicide, an alleged double homicide with no homicide detective.
I mean, I remember when we went to Internal Affairs, First Sergeant Sean Shelton, he apologized that Investigator Robert Drum, the main investigator on the case, is not licensed to handle this investigation. And he says he's not educated to handle this. I've got this on a recording, by the way. I've already posted it.
He said
it's part of a 90-minute conversation on YouTube.
He said his primary job, he's a DOT inspector. So you have a DOT inspector out there conducting homicide investigations?
You know
DOT
why?
inspection?
I'll tell you why they don't have a homicide detective on this case.
What an upgrade.
I mean, really think about that. The reason they don't have a homicide detective on this case is because the minute that Commonwealth Amy Ashworth assigns a homicide detective to this case,
the facts are not going to add up with the narrative.
He's going to find out this is a vehicle accident. Exactly. I mean, why can't we reconstruct this vehicle accident? Oh, is it because we're going to look at the computer inside the vehicle of the other vehicle and the turning angle? It's going to show that the SUV turned into Mustafa after he cleared the vehicle. I mean, how hard is that? The SUV, that vehicle, will tell you the turning angle. And the vehicle is going to have it in the computer inside. Why is that omitted from Mustafa's file? Why is the other driver blood work not in the file? I mean, Mohammed, you opened the file. Is her blood work in the file?
It's not in there. They never looked at it.
But it's in the hospital records.
It's in the hospital record. I mean, you look at this case, okay? You look at this case, and there's a lot of misconduct going on. There's a lot of shenanigans.
When you're talking about misconduct, flat out falsified Mustafa statements.
There's a lot of shenanigans going on, okay? You have the first officer that arrived on scene, a DC officer that happened to be in that area. He was the first to respond to the Chrysler. The first. And he says he activated his body-worn camera the moment he got on scene. Okay? And then he says, after Prince William County Police showed up, after the paramedics and the firefighters, after they all showed up, he let Drum know that he had body cam footage, and basically he was relieved of his duty.
Yeah.
And he went back to his police department immediately the next day, and he got permission from his superiors to take his body cam footage and give it to Prince William County. And he uploaded that file to evidence.com under the case file of Mustafa Al-Jazari.
You're talking about Officer Andrew Margiotta.
Andrew Margiotta.
Yeah.
Now, today we're looking at evidence.com, and we're missing that most crucial body cam of this entire case. Okay? When I say it's important and it's crucial, is because there's a lot of inconsistencies in this case. Mustafa's dash cam, which should have been recording the entire time, miraculously, footage is missing from his body cam. Okay? Chad Mason on the scene says that there's a dash camera, but the wire's severed. I don't know if it was severed now or before, but I'm hungry. That's what Chad Mason says. Now,
I think I could pull up Chad Mason for you. Do me a favor. Go over to exhibits.
Andrew Margiotta's body cam is what I'm going to say should show the condition of Mustafa's dash camera. Whether that wire was or wasn't severed before Chad Mason had arrived on the scene. We know from the motion to dismiss that was filed by Blake that Chad Mason took the stand and he said he took this dash camera and he plugged it into his personal laptop before sending it to forensics. So we know he manipulated and tampered with this dash camera. The real question is, did Chad Mason yank that wire off of the dash camera when he arrived on scene? And this body cam that's missing I say it's very crucial because it's going to show the condition and the wire condition of Mustafa's dash camera before Chad Mason arrived on the scene.
I mean, you're talking about a body cam that's missing audio, a body cam,
Allegedly missing.
Allegedly. You have the Commonwealth Attorney saying there is no audio. You have the police department, Officer Zymus, admit that they have the audio. And so allegedly they're saying there's no audio. A Rexon dash camera, a $500 dash camera, all of a sudden there's no audio. A dash camera that cuts off before impact. A dash camera that's missing 17 frames from Mustafa's facial expression, the camera facing inward. Now,
again, missing the most crucial point.
They're all talking about Mustafa's case. They're all talking about Mustafa's facial expression, and there are 17 frames missing from Mustafa's. Let me go. Do me a favor. I want to play this body cam really quick, and then I'll go over the 17 frames that are missing. This is Chad Mason. When on scene, they're asking him, "Is there any camera? Is there any?" Look how quickly he changes the subject.
You got thing.
No, there's the first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash cam on the.
We got
car.
Target.
Yeah,
Target's a dash cam.
That's a
Target's
dash
going to
cam.
pick up big time.
Is it still running?
I can't. No, the cable's broke. So it could be. I don't know if it was broke before or now, but it's broke. I am starving like hell.
Yeah, I'll get you some food in a minute here.
I just need water.
Huh?
Just water.
That I have a case. I have a whole case of water.
Both nights. As soon as I'm walking at WDS to fucking eat, both nights.
I was just turning on to go home.
That's all the SUV.
I mean, that quick.
This is all car.
That's all spinning. That is definitely all car. I'm still curious about that.
That could be.
I'm hungry. Are you guys hungry? Did you hear what he like?
I mean, that quick, you're gonna move on from the cables broke. I don't know if it broke now or before. What do you mean if it broke now or before? What does that even mean? You know, honestly, I think you should pull up this dash cam and you should zoom in on his face when he says that. Okay. You want that body cam?
The action. Yeah.
I have it. I mean, let me pull it up for you.
And while you do that, I want to go over the 17 frames that are missing from Mustafa's facial expression. I mean, they're all talking about Mustafa's facial expression. You're talking about a dash camera that cuts off before impact.
I mean, how do you switch up so fast from the wire severed? I don't know if it's now or before, but I'm hungry. Changes the topic. And nobody, by the way, if you notice, nobody says, what do you mean severed? What does that even mean? Is the camera there? Is it damaged? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
This is Mustafa moments before the... Mohammed, do me a favor if you can go over to exhibits. This is Mustafa moments before the dash camera cuts off. The camera just cuts off. And I've yet to see a dash camera that cuts off before impact. Now, this is Mustafa. Going to play in normal speed. You can clearly see that Mustafa's... I'm going to slow it down. Mustafa sticks out his tongue inside his cheeks. His jaw began to open. Essentially, panic. Before the camera cuts off. I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. This is before Mustafa had brake failure. Before he finds himself in the wrong lane. He attempts to get back into traffic. His foot is on the brake the whole entire time. That's what the computer inside the vehicle show. The police department inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. You see his tongue sticking inside his cheek. Okay, I'm going to slow it down just a little bit more. This is his sticking his tongue inside his cheek. His jaw began to open in panic. Okay, and then the camera cuts off. Now, what I find disturbing is when you look at the last 8 seconds in Mustafa's dash camera, the dash camera that's uploaded into evidence.com, and Mustafa's sealed file. Now, the Commonwealth Attorney sealed this dash camera from the community. The whole entire file is sealed, but we're in possession of it and we're leaking it on the internet. Now, I'm going to play the dash camera the last 8 seconds in regular speed. This is Mustafa. He's trying to pass a vehicle in front of him. He finds himself in the wrong lane. He tried to get back into traffic. There is brake failure. Could not get back into traffic. His foot is on the brake the whole entire time. I'm going to slow this down. Let me slow this down. Okay. You see Mustafa is trying to pass a vehicle in front of him. He's driving normal speed. He's not speeding. He's trying to pass a vehicle in front of him. He finds himself in the wrong lane. He could not get back into traffic. Let me slow it down a little bit more. There we go. Mustafa is driving, not speeding. He's trying to pass that car in front of him. You see how the camera facing inward cuts off while the outside is still rolling? Now, we're talking about 17 frames missing from Mustafa's facial expression. Mohammed, I want you to watch this right here. I mean, the inside cuts off
Can you turn your airdrop
while the outside is still rolling.
Just on your airdrop.
There is no way a dash camera can cut off unless someone manually cut this dash camera. I mean, look at how many frames is missing out of Mustafa's dash camera. Mohammed, I want to rewind this a little bit more. I want you to watch this. Okay. Now, Mustafa is not speeding. He's passing. He's trying to pass a vehicle in front of him. Cuts off right here. Why does it cut here? How? I mean, this is a dash camera. It has a lens facing outward. It has a lens facing inward. And they're talking about Mustafa's facial expression, who we just watched, zoomed in on his facial expression. You see his tongue sticking inside his cheeks. His jaw is wide open. He's panicking. Now, why does it cut here? I mean, this is a dash camera. There's no way a dash camera can cut. I mean, it's on two different frames. I mean, this is essentially one dash camera. The camera facing outward and the camera facing inward is connected into the same hardware. If it cuts off, it's going to cut off on the same frame. I mean, this is me going with the narrative of the police department that this dash camera cut before impact. Now, you watch it, and it cuts off. Are you kidding me? They cut Mustafa's facial expression to say that Mustafa did not have a facial expression. Now here, right there, Mustafa is attempting to get back into traffic. I'm going to accept it in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'll accept the file in 2 seconds. Here, Mustafa is trying to pass a vehicle in front of him. Realize he's in the wrong lane. Where is he supposed to go? He's not speeding. I mean, his foot, there are skid marks right there, by the way, that they pretended. The officer, Chad Mason, get on the stand and says there are no skid marks. Mustafa right there hits the brake.
Yeah.
There are skid marks from the two calipers that actually worked. The police department inspected the vehicle and found two calipers that did not work. There is brake failure. So here, Mustafa hits the brake.
You can see where his tracks were. There were skid marks from his left side, the left side of his vehicle. And it's very, very clear. I mean, it's clear as day. It's on Robert Drum's camera. He specifically took a photo of the skid marks from Mustafa's vehicle. From that travel path, there are skid marks going from that lane into the oncoming traffic, into the opposite side, and there are skid marks from his vehicle.
So, exactly. So there are skid marks there. The computer inside the vehicle show that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. I mean, here, where are you supposed to go? You can't get back into traffic. There's a vehicle blocking you, and you hit the brake, the vehicle doesn't stop. The prosecutor says Mustafa jerked the vehicle into oncoming traffic. That is not true. When you watch Mustafa's...
I mean, when you watch that video,
Let me go back to normal.
Look at how many cars had passed Look at how many cars had passed.
Look, Mustafa, look at his steering wheel. Let me see if I can go into the steering wheel. I mean, look at Mustafa's steering wheel. Is he jerking the vehicle into oncoming traffic? No, he's not.
I mean,
the vehicle ends up in oncoming traffic.
Look at the
There's nowhere to go.
Look at the vehicles that are oncoming. If his intention was to drive into another car, why avoid the other cars?
He avoids the first vehicle.
I mean, there's a car right there.
The second vehicle, the third, and then the camera cuts off. Muhammad, he avoids, when he finds himself in this position, there is brake failure. You can't get back into normal. You can't get back into traffic. What did he do at that point? I mean, you're not speeding. You're not reckless. You're driving normal. And you find yourself in a position. You did everything you can to avoid. He did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. He avoids the first vehicle, the second vehicle, and he clears all the lanes. According to Robert Drum, the main investigator, on a body cam, he says Mustafa cleared all the vehicle and the SUV turned into Mustafa. I mean, you know, the thing that I can't get over is, I mean, this is 1 second, this is 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6, 7, and then the camera cuts off. But the camera facing outward is still rolling.
I mean, this is one camera that has two lenses. So if the camera cut off, the whole thing turned off. You know what I mean? It doesn't just decided not to record that portion.
I mean, how does that happen? Unless you manually cut this dash camera. And then when you open the file, you see the officer Andrew Margiotta out of DC. That body cam is missing. It's deleted out of evidence. It's deleted out of Mustafa's file.
Exactly.
I mean, what are we going to see on this body cam? What are we going to see on this body cam? That this body cam has to be deleted. I mean, I hear the chief of police put in for his resignation.
Assistant chief of police.
I mean, here's a question for Commonwealth.
Kevin Hugard.
Kevin Hugard. Evidence.com is a very secured portal. You should be able to find out who deleted that body cam, specifically when Andrew Margiotta's body cam is on and it's been uploaded to evidence.com. Who deleted that body cam?
Who deleted it? Who is tampering with evidence at Prince William County? Who's tampering with evidence in Mustafa's case? I mean, that shouldn't be hard to get. That shouldn't be hard to get. Go into evidence.com and check the log. Check who went in and deleted that specific footage.
Well, unfortunately,
whoever did it, they're involved in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case.
Well, unfortunately for Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, that body cam stays in the metadata in DC for up to 10 years. So even if Prince William County deleted it out of Mustafa's file, Mustafa's defense attorney absolutely is going to subpoena that body cam. And we'll get to the bottom of what we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about a dash camera that's cut by the investigator. Mustafa's family was not airlifted when there's a helicopter on standby, when they're stable.
I mean, can you imagine? You're talking about a dash camera that was installed by Mustafa, and now miraculously the wire goes cut. Okay, we know it wasn't Mustafa. We know it wasn't Dorothy. We know it wasn't the airbag. How did
you can see it from the dash camera.
How did this wire get pulled? How did this wire break?
You can clearly see Mustafa's hands. You can clearly see Dorothy's hand. And this dash camera was cut before the airbag was deployed. So who cut this wire?
Chad Mason.
Chad Mason cut the wire.
My theory is Chad Mason. Because, I mean, his body language, his facial expressions at the time when he's talking about the wire, it just looks like he's doing something weird, like something wrong, when he says the wire severed. I don't know if it was now. I don't know if it was before. I mean,
are you guys hungry?
Who's hungry?
Who's hungry? You're talking about the most crucial piece of evidence in this whole entire case.
Look, you're talking about you got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 5 officers sitting there trying to act like, how did this accident happen? Did he come this way? Did he go that way? Did she turn into him? what was going on? Like, what's going on at this scene? And they're trying to figure it out. And then one of the officers says, hey, there's a dash camera. And everyone's like, oh.
Are you hungry?
Who's hungry? Who's hungry? I'm hungry. Is there anything to eat? And his facial expression says it all. His facial expression says, yeah, I pulled that wire. I pulled that wire. Let's not talk about it. Because later, we're going to chop up some videos. We're going to remove some audios. And we're going to put our narrative into play. That's what they're going to do.
Mohammed, I want to go into, while we wait for this body cam to be airdropped, can we go into the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle?
Is it,
The computer inside Mustafa's vehicle.
is it moving?
It wasn't moving earlier. Try it again. How long have you been live? Have we gone over an hour? Yeah.
I think so.
How long? How long have we been on the podcast?
You have the file here?
Which file? The one,
This? Whatever I'm sending?
I'm sure I do. Whatever Amy Ashworth has, I have it.
Can I log in?
You can absolutely log in. Amy Ashworth, how does it feel that I destroyed your lawyer in court? I mean, we had an injunction with Elaine Jarvis, a lawyer out of Warren County that was doing the bidding of Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. So for those that are tuning in, I'm in possession of the sealed file that Commonwealth attorney is hiding from this community. And I'm leaking it on the internet. As a matter of fact, not just for Mustafa, for I've got a number of files. And we're leaking body cams, documents. And Commonwealth attorney, Amy Ashworth, is terrified. Because Amy Ashworth, apparently, every time there's police misconduct, she goes to a judge and gets to seal off the file where the community can't see it.
It's quick.
The federal government can't see it. And essentially, she's covering up for police officers that engage in police misconduct. Well, I've got your file, ma'am. And I have to admit that you tried.
I really want you to zoom in on Chad Mason's face.
You know, Amy Ashworth tried to shut down my channel, but she miserably failed. I mean, I walk in and I destroyed her lawyer in Warren County. I had Elaine Jarvis on the stand for just about 5 hours. I mean, you know, this is a nightmare for them. So you're telling me every time you mechanize the court and come after me, I'm going to put you on the stand and on the record play endless pieces of recordings on the record? I mean, this is a nightmare. This is not what they're expecting.
Crazy. I think you got it.
Amy Ashworth.
And I think
you miserably lost in court. Which one is it?
Scroll down. No, from the top of the iPad. No, from the middle. Yeah. What does it say? Right there. Click on it. The bottom. Okay, good. It's in photo, so you can zoom in. No.
Which one is it?
The body cam.
I mean, did you here? So yeah, Amy Ashworth, your lawyer, miserably lost in Warren County. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of fun. Put Elaine on the stand and cross-examine her for 5 hours. Look forward to doing this again, to be honest with you. You know, I'll tell you, in Prince William County, it sounds like what they do is they have lawyers that behind closed doors work with them. They'll drain you and take your money only to make backdoor deals with them. And essentially, after they take your money, you're a sitting duck. They're the lawyers. They know how the court work. And you're essentially, when they file anything against you, you're just a sitting duck. Not in a million years did they expect that when they file against me, I mean, essentially when they put motions against you, they want you to go hire a lawyer, use whatever money that you've got left, and just essentially drain you. Muhammad, essentially drain you.
Yeah.
But when you don't hire a lawyer and you can represent yourself, this is their worst nightmare. As a matter of fact, you put them on the stand and you start cross-examining them with the evidence that you have on the record. This is a nightmare.
I mean, you had Elaine crying.
This is a nightmare for them. I mean, Elaine did not just cry. I mean, I had her on the stand for 5 hours, and then the last hour, the whole entire thing was 6 hours. 5 hours, I had her on the stand. I cross-examined her. Endless exhibits. After 5 hours, I took the stand. I swear to God, that seat was wet. And I was debating whether I should tell the judge, I'm like, Your Honor, I need a towel, or I was like, whatever.
I mean, she flat out committed perjury to the court, to federal court, to Warren County Court. And I guarantee you, when she goes to Prince William County, if her case still goes through in Prince William County, she's going to commit perjury again. Because she's going to lie.
Do me a favor. Go over to exhibits. I want to pull up a document really quick.
She's going to lie. Flat out.
She filed, by the way, this is insurance fraud. This is a document.
Let me see.
There you go.
So Elaine filed with Attorney Liability Protection Society. That's her insurance policy. Dear Elaine, Beasley partners with your insurer on your cyber insurance coverage, the cyber form, under the above noted policy. I am the claims manager at Beasley, who has been assigned to assess coverage under the cyber form in connection with this matter. I write to formally acknowledge receipt of your notification. Breach response services may be available to you through your cyber form. However, these services must be provided by a panel vendor. You can find a list of our providers here, though we will reach out to make a recommendation where applicable. If this matter involves cyber extortion or ransomware, please note that your cyber form may contain a cyber extortion consent provision. It is important that we speak prior to any cyber extortion or ransomware payment. Beasley is reviewing the information available and would like to set up a call to discuss the incident and your cyber form in further detail. Please let me know when you are available for a call. For now, while Beasley's review of your coverage continues, please understand that Beasley must continue to reserve its rights under the cyber form in equity and at law.
I think I should contact Beasley. This is, by the way, this is insurance.
Beasley Insurance Services.
This is, I should contact that company. And by the way, this is insurance fraud. On the record, Elaine Jarvis would tell the judge.
And for anybody asking, this is a public document that Elaine filed in the Eastern District of Virginia in Mustafa's civil 1983 civil rights violation case, which, again, I don't know what this has to do with Mustafa's civil case. It has nothing to do with it.
She put on Mustafa's civil case.
But what she's claiming here is that
she's telling Judge Hilton, Judge Hilton is the one that's presiding in federal court.
I mean, the subject of this matter is called Attorneys Liability Protection Society, Jarvis Law, PLLC, Computer Theft Incident.
That I hacked her system. I mean, she's telling the court that she's telling the court that on the 4th.
On the 1st, she fired you.
On the 1st.
And then over the weekend, she said, I worked tirelessly to remove his access because he was entering my system from that laptop and downloading all the evidence, which is a lie because
now she submitted documents in court.
She presented a stack of documents with her IP address and all the logins from your username to her system. Now, when we looked at the document, there's 60 pages front and back. Every page has front and back has about maybe 19, 20 items. I mean, you can do the math. It's about 1,100.
Now, by the way, this is the only piece of evidence that she submitted to the courts.
This is what she's
claiming that I hacked her system.
Yeah. And by the way, you look at that document, you can see the IP address of where the access was gained from. You can see the date. You can see the file name. You could see your username. Okay, so this is the information that's listed on that packet. And there was no access on November 1st or after.
Isn't this the same document that she told Shelly, I'll give it to you?
I'll give it to you.
Whatever, I'll show you that I have evidence.
She says, I have proof that he took my information through that laptop.
That I hacked her system.
That you hacked her system. She has proof.
And downloaded, and she said, I hacked her system and I downloaded and hacked and took Mustafa's criminal case.
Look, I'll tell you, she thought that the Warren County judge is stupid. She thinks that the court system is just going to be like, oh my God, a document with IP address, Amar's name. Okay, he definitely did something. Let's not, think people are stupid, because this judge, this court, the federal court, these people are going to look at the document that you're submitting. You're alleging that Amar hacked your system through the laptop that you bought him and downloaded Mustafa's documents. Now, one of the key questions you asked her, you said, Elaine Jarvis, are you aware that Mustafa's discovery file has over 4,000 items in it? And she said she thought it was, she said it's about 1,000, 2,000.
2,000.
She said 2,000. Well, Mustafa's file is over 4,500 files. Over. So you're claiming that Amar went into your system after you fired him. He was so angry after you fired him that he took the laptop and he logged into the system and just began downloading files. That's her allegation.
That's her testimony on the record.
That's her testimony on the record to the federal court and to Warren County. Now, you look at this document that she's alleging, this is the document that shows Amar hacked into my files. You can see that most of the logins were when she hired you in September, in October, and there's nothing in November. And all these logins.
I mean, it's upload where I'm supplying her with evidence into Rodney Ward's case, into the civil case of Mustafa.
90% of your access on that packet are uploads. You're giving her documents.
She thinks the judge is stupid.
She thinks they're stupid. Well, I'll tell you, insurance, they don't play around. Okay? Federal court, Judge Hilton, you think she believes he's just an old man.
On the record.
She believes he's an old man behind the bench. That's what she tells us. This old man didn't look at nothing. He didn't look at Mustafa's videos. He didn't look at anything. She talks down about this judge, okay, behind closed doors. And then on her podcast, she comes out, I respect the federal court. I have great respect for this judge. I'm observing this courthouse. What an amazing courthouse. I love the furniture. This and that. I mean, listen, lady, you're going to degrade a federal judge behind closed doors. And then you're going to come on your YouTube podcast and say, I adore this judge. He has a lot of experience. That's not what you told us.
One of the things that I find really interesting is she's telling the judge that Amar got up, screamed in court that I'm releasing the file, an outburst, basically. That I'm telling the judge, whether you like her or not, I'm releasing the Mustafa Al-Jazari file in federal court. Yet her husband gets up in the middle of the proceeding and he's like, fuck this. I mean, that's your husband, lady. And I mean, I can understand the outburst. I mean, for 5 hours, I've got his wife on the stand, and I'm literally undressing your wife on the stand for 5 hours. I can understand. But I'll tell you what, Stoney, sir. All those days where Elaine did not come home until like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, I wasn't interested then, and I'm not interested now.
That's
I'll tell you, her husband gets up in the middle of the court. He's like, fuck this. I'm like, and all of a sudden the judge tells him, you do this again, we're going to have a problem. He turns into a Chinese man and he's like, Hashima, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I mean, I get it. You've got someone undressing your wife for 5 hours on the stand. I mean, 5 hours of cross-examining Elaine with exhibits, with evidence, until I kept on hitting on her head like a piñata until she cracked in front of the judge. You know what I found really cheap is her lawyer. I mean, essentially, that's why she hired a lawyer, so she doesn't have to be on the stand. Yet she finds herself in a position where she's on the stand getting cross-examined for 5 hours. You know what I found really cheap is that I have an exhibit, which is the most crucial exhibit in the whole entire proceeding, where on the first, Elaine Jarvis, on the record, I asked her a number of questions, a sequence of questions. I asked her, Elaine, did you tell me that you're going to pay me under the table? She said, absolutely not.
I would never say that.
Did you tell me that we have to separate ourselves in front of everybody so I can continue publicly, so I can continue defending your brother? Absolutely not. You're a liar, she says. And she said it just like that. What else did I ask her?
Did you say that we have to set up our own spy network?
Spy network? Absolutely not. What else?
Pay you under the table?
Pay me under the table? What else?
That you should go and
release the videos and podcast in front of the governor?
And that she was going to fund you under the table?
Absolutely. She said, absolutely not. Now, I told the judge, Your Honor, I have an audio that I like to exhibit, whatever. It's in my exhibits. Like to play for the court. Her lawyer, Tim, gets up. He said, Your Honor, under section code, blah, 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 blah. There's a wiretapping rule. Absolutely, we should not be able to play this exhibit. I'm like, Your Honor, it's a recording. He says, Elaine did not give him permission, did not consent. I'm like, Your Honor, Virginia is a one-party state. You don't need the other person consent.
And by the way, wiretap only applies to phone calls.
Phone calls.
Doesn't apply to...
In civil cases, for phone calls, specifically, where this is not a criminal case, this is a civil case. In civil cases, the wiretapping phone call rule, I believe, applies. Now, I'm not a lawyer at the time.
It doesn't apply then, by the way. It still doesn't apply.
Even in civil cases.
Even in civil cases.
Because Virginia is a one-party state. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I didn't know really what to say at the time. But I did my research, and we have a proceeding on the 20th. We go back to court, where I'm going to tell the judge that this doesn't apply. I can absolutely be able to play the exhibit. I should absolutely be able to play the recording because Virginia is a one-party state.
Listen,
and the wiretapping does not apply.
The moment
he's terrified.
The moment this judge hears this recording, I mean, I honestly don't know how Elaine's going to show her face ever in Warren County.
Well, here's the deal.
Or in any
that
court,
recording is on the internet. Is on the internet, and if the judge rules and doesn't let me play the recording, I'm going to appeal it. I'm going to get my way, whether anybody likes it or not. I'm going to be able to put that exhibit on the record. At the end of the fucking day, this is a recording of Elaine Jarvis, and we're going to put that on the record. Whether I have to appeal it, even if I have to appeal it. I mean, what are you going to do? We're going to go back to court, and what's the worst case scenario? I mean, by the way, the injunction is already dissolved.
Yeah, the judge already dismissed it.
The judge already dismissed it. I'm just pissed off because I couldn't put that on the record because her lawyer
lied to the court again. Once again, they
lied to the court and was like, Your Honor, under what, blah, blah, blah.
Wiretapping rules. What wiretap applies to a phone call. This is an in-person conversation. By the way, you played other recordings of her. You played other recordings.
They don't want that recording on the record.
And
here's
Tim Johnson never
objected.
He never objected to those recordings. But he knows. And by the way, you submitted to this court. You submitted that recording to the court. So they already know what's in it. And they really don't want this audio to come out because...
I mean, here's an officer of the court lying to the court on the record.
And by the way, she says she told the judge that she's like, on November 1st, I was just trying to get rid of him. Actually, if you remember correctly, she stayed all the way to like 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock. Remember?
Yeah.
And like we were in conversations with her while her staff was still there. Rodney's mom was still there, and she had her wait in the lobby for like over 45 minutes while she was talking with us. And she was still talking about doing a podcast with us afterwards. And then at the end, she's like, I mean, my husband keeps calling me. Like, I can't just, it's getting really late. And then she told you to leave your property there in the basement. That you can, you'll always have access to my office, Amar. You'll always have access to my office.
This is the audio recording.
Is that the audio in question?
That's the audio in question.
I can tell you.
Like I said, whether the judge let me put this on the record. Don't let me put it on the record. I'm going to appeal it.
You're going to appeal it, and this audio will be in the record
Now,
one way or another.
The injunction, I can care less, to be honest with you, about this injunction, because this injunction is already dissolved. The judge already dissolved this injunction.
I think,
but I have evidence that Elaine Jarvis lied.
I think you should tag Amy Ashworth on Twitter with that recording.
Oh yeah, that's right. Elaine Jarvis has court under Judge
She's being held
Weimer
in contempt.
Elaine, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth supposedly is holding this lawyer in contempt, and the judge that's presiding over Amy Ashworth and Elaine Jarvis is Judge Weimer, Carol Weimer in Prince William County in Circuit Court. Now, this is an interesting audio where Elaine, on the record, an officer of the court, is lying about the situation. And there's a recording that can clarify this whole thing, but no one wants to see it. Well, I promise you, ma'am, they're going to want to hear it.
This person is doing this or that because you run your ship. And obviously, if Amar is not part of your ship, then it's not going to drown, it's not going to sink, and nobody could
Mom, this is
say anything really.
Talking to Elaine?
Can't say that. She's here.
What did you start that?
She didn't answer.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up real quick.
You just give.
We say you between us, but on the public sphere,
Yeah.
we're going to play their game. You know, we're going to say that we're not the client. You can publicly say
There's something nice that happened that I can inform you of. And when they posted the motion for sanctions, they didn't seal it.
Pause it for a
So
second.
you guys can go on.
So I'm just going to explain really quick what she's talking about. She's saying when the jail posted their motion to seal.
She's talking about Rachel Adams.
Oh, she's talking about the sanction. When they posted their motion for sanctions, she said they did not seal the videos. They listed them as exhibits, and they did not seal the videos.
And she goes on, and she's showing us how to access those videos.
She's like, okay, come on over. She goes to her laptop, and you can hear it. She logs into the court system, and she's like, look, right there.
Are we talking about the same videos that she's telling everybody that she's taken down? And
the 3 videos that were released by the jail that she released, and then she was being sanctioned for, and then now she had to take them down. The jail lawyer filed sanctions against her. So she's telling us that the jail had incorrectly filed this motion for sanctions, and you, Amar, can take the video directly off the listing where they're posted. You can take them and you can go out there and do whatever you want with it because they filed it incorrectly. Let me show you how to download it. And that's where
The court system, and you can legally take the video.
you can legally take those
You know
videos.
what I'm talking about?
So they put a sanction, they put the exhibits publicly?
I'm saying. This is really funny.
So they file a motion to sanction, and they include the exhibits, and it's public information. That's crazy.
So that's. I didn't say that. Let's see.
6 minutes after this one.
62, right? Let's see.
So is this all public? What you're recording on?
Is this all public? She said yes.
Oh, okay, good. We can at least talk about it, and I mean that's all.
I mean, that shows you she never intended. No, just keep playing. Keep playing. I was gonna say that shows you her intentions was never to remove those videos.
But the fact that they filed it this way, I frankly think it means that it's because they don't have any seal on it. There's no exhibit.
Can I ask you a favor? This is seal of the estate. You know when I walked in, me and my brother? Look, we're both looking at each other like where's all this? I tell my brother, I'm like, I don't know what this is. My brother doesn't know what this is. But I tell him, Elaine has been on this earth a lot longer, and she will probably have an answer.
I do. I have very lengthy answers.
That's how we think. I don't know what to do. Gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna go in front of the governor's mansion. Me and my brother, we're gonna put a table, we're gonna put 2 mics, and we're gonna go live. And we're gonna have a conversation.
A peaceful conversation.
A peaceful conversation. Well, everything's happening. And I know that this is gonna go viral. I know that
Well, now we have the
election,
and we have the
videos,
yes.
we have everything. It's gonna go viral. When I tell you that Judge Shelton, I'm just gonna, this is right conversation.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. These people are in cahoots. And they prey on individuals who are weak, that don't have the ball to go public. What I want, what I'm asking you, I don't have money to maintain myself. Is there any way I can keep fighting for my
This is the
brother?
part. Listen.
Just to keep my table?
Listen. Listen to this part.
I think we don't talk about how we work privately for me and my sister.
You'll be working. Listen. You hear that? You'll be working privately, and I'm gonna pay you under the table.
I think we can talk about that.
Yeah, I pray for you. What do you do for my brother?
One thing I can't do is keep coming to it. Has to be under the table.
Under the table.
But you know what I'm saying? You can't be.
Of course. That's exactly. No,
No one can know about this.
Because that's
She says no one can know about this.
That's where I can.
Because they'll come after me and take me down.
I want to talk to you more. I've got to meet with her because I don't want to
I'm gonna go grab my stuff.
Okay.
I have stuff downstairs, like a shelf or whatever. No, I like my stuff, my tools, my mechanic tools. Like I don't know, like I have some stuff. But
what did she tell the court?
She said you'll always have access to the building.
When are you going to do your podcast? Or what are you thinking?
I definitely, I would like to be able to pay you now for your podcast.
She wants me to continue doing her podcast.
So I would like to pay you for the podcast.
You got the one?
Robbie Ward's here. His mom's here, so I have to meet with her.
She told the court.
we can wait and then do the podcast afterwards. You want to do it?
She told the court that she fired me on that day, right? She didn't tell the court that she was going to pay me on the table. She didn't tell the court that go out there, podcast, release the videos. We have to separate ourselves
Amar, she
on
said,
the public sphere.
She said, Your
I'm
Honor,
gonna pay
I would
you.
never. I never said that. Well, recording shows otherwise.
Look,
or are you gonna blame it on AI? You know, I love this thing about like anytime somebody catches you doing something you shouldn't be doing, the first thing they say is that's AI. That's not me, that's AI. She couldn't say that in court, by the way.
She could not say that in court.
She couldn't.
She told Shelly that.
She couldn't tell the judge. She couldn't look the judge in his face and say, Your Honor, that's AI.
Instead, her lawyer says, oh, the wiretapping rule, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't exist. I mean, just the only reason you got away with saying that in court, because I'm not a lawyer, so I didn't know what you were talking about. But absolutely, we're going back on the 20th. I'm going to tell the judge that Virginia is a one-party state. The wiretapping rule does not apply.
And even if it does apply, it does not apply to physical recordings in person. This is not a phone call.
Exactly.
This is an
now,
in-person
if the judge doesn't let me put this on the record, I'm going to appeal it. No hard feeling. I'm going to appeal it. One way or another, we're going to put that on the record. This is a recording of what took place on the 1st. So, but by the way, either way, the injunction is absolved.
Exactly.
But I'm just having...
On that note.
On that note.
Can you go to your videos real quick?
But, you know, before we go into that video, Amy Ashworth, that was a nice try. You miserably failed in court. I destroyed your lawyer in court. And I look forward to doing this again. I actually had a lot of fun cross-examining Elaine on the stand.
You had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun
playing lawyer?
Playing lawyer. That was fun. That was a lot. Did you see that smile on my face the whole entire time? You wanted to...
Go the video I just gave you?
Yeah, I think I have it. Hang
on. Go to your photos. You have it?
Yeah.
Okay, go to 1932. On the video time.
Oh, 1932.
Yeah.
This spinning and rolling over.
So that's
put the
on
volume
truck.
up. But I think you have to put the volume
I have to put the volume up. But okay. I want you, when he gets to talk about
I'll zoom in on his
the
face.
dash camera, I just want you to zoom in on his
Well,
face.
that gets detached upon fucking
Impact. So you have this one coming. Boom, boom. And then it's moving, and here's your rear tires.
So it rotates twice. It rotated around then. You got to think.
No, there's the first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash cam on
You
the
see what I just said right there?
How about cameras?
No, go back like just a few seconds. Where he says that's his first rotate right there. Look where he's pointing. Look where he's pointing. Look where drum's gonna point.
Target's going to pick up big time.
Is it still running?
I'm going to rewind just a little bit.
Rewind it. Okay. Go back just a little bit.
This one coming. Boom, boom. And then it's moving, and here's your rear tires. So it rotates.
Look what he's gonna say. Look where he's gonna point.
You got to think.
Look where this is drum's body
How
cam.
about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash cam on the.
We got target.
You want me to rewind?
Yeah, rewind
Pick
it.
up big time.
Is it?
Right there. You just passed it.
No, there's the first rotate up
Right
there.
there. Okay, pause it.
So they have a dash cam.
Go back and pause it when like his fingers on the screen. Right there. Okay. Now zoom in on that can of paint. Okay, right there. Okay, zoom in. Look at where he's pointing, by the way.
Pointing to the 4th lane.
He's pointing to the 4th lane. He says that's where he first rotated. I mean, when do you rotate?
Now, why is it that he marked the point of impact on the 3rd lane?
Exactly. That circle that you see on the screen in that
right
in that 2nd lane.
That right there.
He says that's the point of impact. But you clearly see him pointing in that lane. Chad Mason, by the way.
And then later he says...
In that body cam, Chad Mason says, this is where the wheel fell off. And he's in that 1st lane. The 1st lane that Mustafa was able to get to. And she turned into him from the lane over.
I mean, this is why they're not reconstructing the accident. This is why they're not looking at the computer in the SUV. Because it's going to show the turning angle where the SUV turned into Mustafa after Mustafa cleared all vehicles.
They want to change the topic. They want to talk about this person said this person said that. Why don't we go back to the basics? Let's go back to the root of this case. And that's the 2-vehicle collision. Okay, why can't we examine the evidence? Okay, why is there evidence missing from evidence.com? I mean, why is there evidence missing? Like that's a real serious question.
Exculpatory evidence missing from the file.
Why is body cam body cams missing from this file? Okay, that's a very serious question. It should not be this hard to figure out which officer, which employee logged into evidence.com and removed Andy Margiotta's body cam. It should not be that hard. Okay, because we know Casey Stevens didn't get it. We know Blake didn't get it. Okay, we know Elaine didn't get it. We didn't see it when we went in. So what is it? Where is it? You're gonna play that body cam thing? Yeah.
So they have a dash cam on the.
Okay, zoom in on his face.
It's gonna pick up big time. Is it still running?
Can't. No, the cable's broke. So I mean, I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving like motherfucker.
I'm starving like a motherfucker. Look, what you're gonna change. You're gonna change the conversation that quick. I mean, this is.
I mean, this is odd. Like,
okay, all right. I mean, a vehicle accident. Mustafa's in a coma. His family is badly hurt, and you have a crucial piece of evidence
that you claim is damaged.
You're hungry?
You don't know if it's damaged now or before.
You're hungry?
He's hungry. He's starving. He's starving like a motherfucker.
What did you do that you want to change the conversation?
I mean, I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving.
I mean, just look at his face. Look at the body language.
I just need water.
It's just weird.
And by the way, you don't find it odd?
I am starving like motherfucker.
You don't find it odd that nobody out of these officers
is even questioning what he's talking about.
Nobody's even saying, what do you mean it's broke? What does that even mean, it's broke? Nobody even goes to look. I mean, you're sitting there trying to figure out how this accident happened, and someone just told you there's a recording device.
None of these officers are making eye contact with each other. I mean, look, let me rewind this a little bit. They know he's lying.
There has to be a way you can zoom it in, like where it just stays zoomed in.
I get some food in there. I just need water.
I can zoom in. Yeah.
He just needs water. But the other one, he's starving like a motherfucker.
It's all about Chad Mason.
He said, I'm starving like a motherfucker.
What did Chad
the wire's
Mason
cut.
do?
I don't know if it's cut now. I don't know if it's cut before. Well, we should be able to tell through Andrew Margiotta. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden Chad Mason resigns. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Well, you know, I want to tell Chad Mason that a subpoena is being put through for the body cam, and DC keeps that body cam in the metadata for 10 years.
And we're going to find out what you did. You better hope to God.
And if you think
you did not pull that wire.
I don't have what you said on the record in the motion to dismiss, think again. Officer Zymus, Chad Mason.
And Drum.
I've got
Drum.
I've got deputy sheriff that are supplying me with the audio recording of every proceeding in court. I've got what you said in the motion to dismiss, and you can't take that back. I mean, at the time, they bet on the fact that I do not have the file. So they came out on the stand, on the record, said, there is no audio. Right? That's what they said, right?
That's what they claim.
You can't change what you said on the record. And that's the problem that they're in. They've already solidified and came out with this narrative. Now the file is being released, and it shows that their hand is in the cookie jar.
Again, they were promised. They were promised that none of what you did on body cam, none of what you wrote will ever see the light of day. That's what they were promised. Okay, the moment this information is coming to light, I mean, you have an assistant chief of police resigning. You have a superintendent resigning. You have all these people, all these county officials, by the way, high-ranking officials. You know, and I'll say again, I wouldn't be surprised if Chad Mason decides to resign and, you know, you find him like working at Walmart or McDonald's.
You know, I'll promise you he's going to end up in federal prison. You know, I'll tell you, it was, and we'll end it with this video. I remember the chief of police was so comfortable at the time when he was talking to you at
the board meeting. The jail board
so
meeting.
Comfortable. I mean, I mean, think about
He
it.
was so confident.
The file is sealed. No one can access the body cam, the documents. He's so comfortable. I mean, listen to it. He's telling you. Can you put the volume up?
And then the officer lies.
Look.
Charged with murder while their vehicle is tampered like this. And then the officer.
He said that's not the same vehicle.
He said that's not the same vehicle. You have pictures of the vehicle at the scene, and you have pictures of the vehicle chopped up and
He says
staged.
that's not the same vehicle.
It's not the same vehicle.
So imagine the chief of police, he's looking at a photo and he's thinking, there's no way that's the same vehicle. He's thinking, there's no way. I mean, why would we do that to a vehicle? Well, now you know. I mean, now you're looking at the entire
So
file.
they cut and mute the dash camera, chop up the vehicle to stage it like a head-on collision.
He couldn't believe it. He's like, there's no way this is. I'm asking him, you have an obligation to preserve the evidence. You allege this is a murder. This is the worst crime you can ever think of. You have an obligation to preserve the evidence, yet you chopped up this man's vehicle. And he says, that's not the same vehicle. Why would we do that? Why would we tamper with evidence? Well, now you know. I mean, this is the same vehicle. And matter of fact, it's worse because the photos we have now are much worse than the photos that I had at the time.
We have every picture and evidence.com.
Every picture. Every photo.
I'm more than comfortable with the evidence that we have to bring up the charges against your brother. Listen to it. Does he want to say that again?
By the way, his internal affairs, that's not what they were saying. His internal affairs were saying, we have nothing to do with it. This is not, your brother is not held because of us. We do our part. You supplied us with a recording. Okay, we investigated. We found wrongdoing and we notified the Commonwealth attorney. Your beef is not with us. The Commonwealth attorney is who's bringing the charges against your brother. So for the chief of police here to say like he's very comfortable with the charges, well, that's not what internal affairs was saying. That's not what Sean Shelton was saying. That's not what was the other guy's name?
Which one?
Braveheart or something?
Kevin?
No, the other guy from internal affairs.
Oh, you're talking about
David something?
I know who you're talking about.
The one that has his name all over the letters?
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Well, they were saying your beef is not with us.
Yeah.
We're doing the right thing. You supplied us with a recording. We investigated.
That the Commonwealth attorney is a separate agency. They bring in the charges.
They're saying that Mustafa being held, Mustafa being charged, has nothing to do with the police. That's what they're telling us, internal affairs. Your beef is with the Commonwealth attorney. And you should take that up with the lawyer to take it up with the Commonwealth
Have
attorney.
you wondered, no one came out ever since the file is being leaked on the internet?
Exactly. No one has said anything.
They're terrified. I mean, look at the level of confidence he has.
Amar, the moment your
I'm
file...
more than comfortable bringing the charges against your brother with the evidence that we have. Well, the file is being leaked. Are you still comfortable? That's a good question.
I mean, I can tell you, the only thing that I see when this file came out, I saw a lot of resignations. I saw the assistant chief of police resign out of Prince William County. I saw the superintendent of Virginia State Police resign. The superintendent of Prince William County Adult Detention Center resigned. Okay, these are major leadership positions. Why are they all resigning? You know, I'm telling you, I'm really starting to think that this assistant chief of police who was there at the accident scene when Mustafa
You're talking about Kevin Gerhardt?
Yeah, that one. He was at the scene of Mustafa's car accident.
Watching his police officer manipulate and lie to witnesses that Mustafa is on drugs. Who I remind this community, the document in Mustafa's toxicology, no alcohol, no drug, but yet you have police officer manipulating and lying to witnesses that Mustafa's on drugs.
And he has a major role in internal affairs. So I wonder if he went into evidence.com and tried to save Chad Mason, okay, from being seen on this body cam, ripping Mustafa's dash cam wire, and then later manipulating this SD card.
I mean, that body cam
to say it just because the wire was severed, these videos were altered.
I mean, that body cam is going to show a lot.
That body cam is going to show a lot.
It's going to show
very
Chad
crucial
Mason
information.
cutting the wire off the dash camera. It's going to show why Mustafa's family was not airlifted. I mean,
Exactly.
Mustafa's family was stable.
Look, I can tell you, this is a very important body
There's
cam.
a helicopter on standby. Why was Mustafa not airlifted? Why was Mustafa's family not airlifted?
It's a very important body cam because we know from looking at Mustafa's case file, from looking at his body cams, these officers that do know Mustafa, they love to mute their body cams. They always love to mute it. This DC cop just happened to be at the right place at the right time. An accident happened and he's going home and he has his body-worn camera on and he activated it. I don't think he's going to mute his camera because he doesn't know anything about Mustafa. Okay? So this body cam is going to shed a lot of insight. It's going to give us a lot of insight as to what's going on when the police arrived initially. What was being said by these officers when they realized that this is Mustafa Al-Jazari's car, the guy that they're watching, the guy that sued the police, the guy that they're profiling, okay, and the guy that Casey Stevens wants to allege is a known drug addict. It's crazy.
I want to really quick pull up the body cam that you're talking about. Let me see if I can find
Which
it. The body cam of Officer Andrew Margiotta, because he was on scene and clearly you can see his body cam.
I mean, you don't have to look at it. You have a document signed by him. A document signed by him where he says he obtained permission from his chief of police, from his department, to upload his footage to evidence.com. And he did so after Prince William County Police gave him a link. He uploaded his body cam to it. So the real question is, where is
the body cam?
And who deleted it? Who deleted it?
Well, unfortunately for them, the body cam
is there. Yeah, you're right.
Metadata for 10 years.
The body cam is there, and we're going to get it.
It's going to be subpoenaed by Mustafa's defense attorney. So we're going to get that body cam.
We will definitely get that body cam. So I'm telling you right now, between now and then, I have a feeling like...
I mean, absolutely. You're going to see our
Chad Mason's gonna
resignation. I mean, listen, I've got his voice where in court when he, in the motion to dismiss, when he's on the stand and he said what he said. He said that he put the SD card in his computer, unplugged it.
He did it twice. He said twice. And then he sent it to digital forensics.
This is Mohammed. Do me a favor.
Sarah Sammy's sitting there questioning him back and forth. And she says, did you plug it into your laptop? Yes, I plugged it in. Why would you plug it into your... I wanted to see if it had any files on it.
I have the audio recording of the proceeding of the motion to dismiss. When Zymus talks, when Chad Mason talks, when Robert Drum talks, we'll get to the bottom of it. We'll get... Mohammed, do me a favor. Go over to exhibit. I want to play the body cam of Andrew Margiotta.
Is there sound?
Yeah.
You might have a couple...
That's Mustafa.
We're going to wrap it up with this one.
Yeah.
Sir?
I was the first on the scene. Do you need anything?
We have a crash investigator coming out, so he might have a couple
I'm going to pause it real quick. That's Mustafa back here. He's in a coma in front of his vehicle. And you have officers that are lying about Mustafa, that are saying he's on drugs. I mean, why? Because Mustafa sued the police, that you began to take advantage of this vehicle accident. Mustafa had a $500,000 lawsuit that took place in 2018 that dragged all the way to the vehicle accident. And you have police officers that show up and take advantage of this vehicle accident. Mustafa's toxicology, no alcohol, no drugs. But yet you have police officers that are going around telling witnesses that's on site that this is drug related.
He's never
manipulating the witnesses.
In his life, he's never been charged with drugs, never been accused of drugs. Okay? Never been drunk. Yet Casey Fines wants to come out and say he's a known drug user. Robert Drum looks at Mustafa's medication, that is prescribed medication, prescribed Adderall, and he wants to go around and tell other officers and witnesses that Mustafa is methed out. He's on meth. Adderall, meth.
I mean, Mohammed, why is this body cam not there?
Exactly.
Why is this goddamn body cam not there? Why is it deleted from evidence.com? There's an affidavit. There's an affidavit put in by this officer that's wearing the body cam, that his body cam is on and it's uploaded to evidence.com. Why is it that when I access evidence.com,
It's not
this
there.
body cam is deleted?
We're going to get to the bottom of it.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
That car was going this way.
This is Officer Andrew Margiotta and Chad Mason. You can bet that we're going to get this body cam and we're going to get to the bottom of what you did to Mustafa's dash camera. Mustafa's dash camera is muted by the police department. 17 frames are missing. This dash camera cuts off before impact. 17 frames are missing from the interior view of Mustafa's facial expressions. So we'll get to the bottom of it. Mustafa's vehicle is chopped up, staged to make it look like a head-on collision. When every piece of evidence showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brake, he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. And the police department inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. We'll get to the bottom of it.
I'll say at the end of the day, the truth will come out. Okay? And when the truth comes out, Mustafa will be released. He's going to be free, and you're going to see a lot of resignation. I mean, you just have videos right now that are surfacing on the internet of Mustafa's case, and you have a lot of resignation. Okay? Imagine what's going to happen when he does go to court, when he does go to trial, when this evidence is on the record, and these criminals with a badge are going to have to answer for their actions. It's only a matter of time.
I mean,
the truth always comes out.
This is the bottom line. I mean, Mustafa's been in solitary confinement for over 2 years. They correctional officer beat and abused Mustafa, denied Mustafa medical. The Commonwealth attorney is maliciously prosecuting Mustafa. Malicious prosecution. I mean, regardless of the evidence, she's going to go after Mustafa to protect her officers that lied and falsified this case. Now, here's the deal. That's Amy Ashworth, yes, and that's a lawyer that has a relationship with this investigator, essentially took all of our money. That's okay. You sealed the file, but I have it. I have the file that you sealed from this community, and I'm actively leaking it on the internet. Now, you're using lawyers to come after me in court and attempt to silence my platform. What happened on Monday? Your lawyer miserably failed. I mean,
miserably.
I destroyed your lawyer in court.
Miserably.
You can't shut me down in court. You can't shut down my social media. I have the file that you're hiding. It's only a matter of time before you are held accountable by law. And the best is yet to come. I mean, this platform is beautiful. I've got this whole entire platform is mobile. We're going to be going in front of the governor mansion. We're going to be playing these files. We're going to be going in front of the White House. We're going to be playing these files on a podcast. We're going to be, my favorite part is Governor Lieutenant Sears is running ads on TV, asking this community to re-elect her. I mean, Lieutenant Governor Sears is a Marine, and it's beautiful. When the community looks at it, we have a black woman who's a lieutenant governor and a Marine. I mean, that's the best thing that can happen to this community. But when you find out that this lieutenant governor is unresponsive, is literally asleep, Mohammed, where is this governor, lieutenant governor? Yes, she's running ads on TV asking this community to re-elect her. Where is she from the Mustafa Al-Jazari file? Where is she from the Tatiana David file? Where is she from the 18-year-old that lost his life in our county jail, Juan Campos? Where is she from Muhammad Ikram Shurdel, who lost his life in our county jail? Where is she from the list of inmates that we are talking about on this platform?
I mean, where is she on a United States citizen being held in solitary confinement based on falsified information? And we have the evidence to show they falsified it. I mean, I just posted a video the other day that shows you the prosecutor is saying in her statement of fact that is signed and sworn to the court that there is no audio.
I saw your video. It's a very powerful video.
And then forensic analysis of his dash cam, the same camera that the prosecutor said there's no audio. Forensic analysis shows there is audio. So you both work for the same entity. Well, who's correct? Who's lying to us?
Now,
which one is lying?
I'm gonna play that video.
I mean, which one is lying?
I'm gonna play that video, and I want to go over that document that Zymus has in Mustafa's discovery, because Officer Zymus says that their police department is in possession of the audio, but yet you have the Commonwealth attorney who says there is no audio. Which one is it? Now, before we go into that video, I want to go back to Lieutenant Governor Sears. She's running ads on TV asking this community to re-elect her. Now, I've got a mobile podcast, and her building is 1 block away from the governor mansion in Governor Youngkin in Richmond. How does Governor Sears like that I'm going to take this mobile podcast in front of the building on public property and hold a podcast there and play those ads that she's running on TV on this podcast? Now, she wants this community to re-elect her, right? Now, I'm going to play the ads that she's playing on TV, and then I'm going to play the evidence that I have in Mustafa's file that this police department, the Commonwealth attorney, falsified the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And then I'm going to play the Tatiana David body cam where the police department, Virginia State Police, and Prince William County murdered this girl, covered this body cam, covered what they did. I mean, on body cam, they shot up the vehicle, they shot this girl, picked this girl up from inside her vehicle, put her somewhere else. It's a cover-up. Now, one disturbing piece that came out from Elaine's trial on Monday, she said on the record that Virginia State Police went into her office, purged and deleted the Tatiana David body cams off her computer.
That is crazy.
I mean, that's Elaine Jarvis on the record. Now, the question is, which Virginia State Police came into your office, and where is the police reports, the incident report from Virginia State Police who went into your, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Exactly. Under what right did the murderer come into your office and delete their crimes?
This is crazy.
It's disturbing.
So these are some of our,
look, listen, now you see why Elaine Jarvis is freaking terrified, man.
I mean, 1 minute she's fighting for Mustafa, 2 minutes later she's going after.
Now you see why she's going crazy. Like, she forgets to shave her upper lip.
I mean, she's got on video, she walks around with a mustache in court. You know, I had to sit there and cross-examine her for 5 hours with that mustache, and to a certain extent, I was distracted.
I mean, when state police enter your office,
shave the goddamn mustache. How hard is it? I'll get you the wax. I'll cash app you whatever.
Speaking of shaving,
yes,
we would like to thank our sponsor, Gillette.
We would like to thank our sponsor, Gillette. Gillette is a very reliable
technology.
Elaine, we would definitely recommend Gillette to you. As a matter of fact, we can send you a couple of boxes. Now, using them is a different story. I don't know if you're going to use them. Our other sponsor is Depends. Our Sheriff Glenn Hill, according to Elaine Jarvis, wears Depends an adult diaper that is very reliable. You don't have to take my word for it. Take Elaine Jarvis' word that the sheriff himself, Sheriff Glenn Hill, out of Prince William County, wears and relies on Depends. Otherwise, he would be leaking all over the county.
On that note,
we're going to be holding mobile podcast. We're going to take all this equipment in front of the governor at the governor mansion, where you would like to play some files for him and have our governor take a look at the files of Mustafa Al-Jazari and other files that we have. I mean, my favorite part is Governor Youngkin is being walked around by our Attorney General, Pam Bondi. It's like she just found herself a brand new poodle and she's showing it around like he's the best governor that she ever found. I mean, this governor is just like doing tricks for her. I mean, Pam Bondi. Have you seen the videos coming out of Pam Bondi when she's standing with Governor Youngkin? He's like wagging his tail. He's playing tricks, trying to tell her, I'm the best governor. Tell Trump that I support him 150%. I'll do whatever you want. Pam Bondi, man, do you know that the governor does not give a shit about this community? As a matter of fact, you don't have to take my word for it. We're going to be at the governor mansion. We're going to hold a podcast, and we're going to play the evidence that I stole from the Commonwealth attorney. I have sealed files of police misconduct in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. I have sealed files in the Tatiana David case. I have sealed files in other individuals in this community. I'm going to take this podcast, engage in what we call the First Amendment in this country on public property in front of the governor mansion. Hold a podcast.
We're going to expose the misconduct by law officials.
And Pam Bondi, Attorney General Pam Bondi, President Trump, I want to show you what kind of governor we have. I mean, is this a governor that cares about this community? We'll find out if we ever hear from this governor.
We're going to see what Amy Ashworth is doing behind closed doors to the citizens of Prince William County, and how she gets her plea deals, and how she allows torture of pre-trial detainees, how she holds people that are awaiting trial in solitary confinement for over 2 years. And when they go to rec, if they get rec, the jail officers, the leadership says, don't give them a ball. Leave him just walking,
that's right.
walking in the rec
That's
room.
right. I guess they're not happy. They were betting on this channel being shut down by Elaine Jarvis. And when Elaine Jarvis miserably failed doing the bidding of Commonwealth Amy Ashworth to come after me and shut down my channel, they're no longer giving rec and letting... we'll talk more. On that note, so our plan is we're going to be... and Governor Youngkin, you might want to address this file, because what we're going to be doing, not only are we going in front of your mansion with a mobile podcast, not only are we going with a mobile podcast in front of Lieutenant Governor Sears, which is 1 block away from you, we're going to be going in front of President Trump. We're going to be holding a podcast, sir, there. President Trump, we're going to be calling on you to look into your backyard and look at what they're doing here. Police misconduct in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. A governor, apparently, that does not care. And we're asking for you to look into the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, sir. Accountability. We have an American citizen for over 2 years held in solitary confinement without due process. I mean, why can't we take Mustafa to trial? Why can't we put his evidence on the record and take Mustafa to trial? Is that so hard to ask for? President Trump, we look forward to being there, sir. And I ask everybody to keep us in your prayers. Mohammed, thank you for being here with a beautiful podcast.
Yeah.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer and the Jaif. What that mean? We're going to hold you accountable by law. And a good translation, for 2 years, you've been impartial. Judge Carol Weimer, you're a piece of shit. And I'm going to make sure that you are held accountable. I've got the file that you sealed, and I'm leaking it all over the internet, and you're going to end up in federal prison. Thank you for being here with us on this podcast. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope.
Right. So here you have Commonwealth Attorney Amy Ashworth, and you have Kathy Zymas with Digital Forensics of Prince William County. Now, why is it that in a court filing, the Commonwealth Attorney wants to tell us that Mustafa's dash camera captured no audio, yet in a digital forensic report by Kathy Zymas, she says there is audio to this dash camera? Why is it that two individuals from the same entity, from the government, can't come up to an answer as to whether this dash cam recorded audio or it didn't record audio. I mean, why can't the government give us a straight answer? Because one piece of the government says there is audio, and that's digital forensics. Kathy Zimas, in her report that I'm going to put up on the screen in a little bit, she says there is audio, that the last several videos did not capture audio, but the sound record feature was turned on, and that all the other videos basically did have audio. There's over 530 files, individual files of this dash cam, and Zimas says the last several videos didn't capture audio. So the other 500 should have audio. That's what Zimas wants to tell us in her report. Yet the Commonwealth attorney in her filing says there is no audio, that none of the videos captured audio. The problem here is, why can't we get a straight answer out of the government? I mean, these two individuals work for the same side. They work for the government. This is a police investigator with the digital forensics, and this is the Commonwealth attorney. Why are they giving us two different answers? And who are we supposed to believe? Why can't we get a straight answer out of the Prince William County government? Does this dash cam have audio or does it not have audio? Robert Drum says he has the audio. Yet Commonwealth attorneys, prosecutors, Sarah Sammy says that no audio was captured on this dash cam. And that's contradicted by the same entity, by Prince William County Police, with Kathy Zimas, who says it does have audio. So why don't you give us a straight answer, Commonwealth attorney? Why can't you give us a straight answer, Prince William County Police? Why can't you two get together and decide which lie you're going to go with? Either it had audio or it didn't have audio. So I would like for you two to get together and get your story straight. All right, so here. My name is Mohammed Al Jazari. I'm Mustafa's older brother, and I'm here to speak about Mustafa's abuse in jail and other inmates that my brother and our good friend here mentioned, Eric and Sergio Diaz. So a few months ago, someone that goes by the name Sonic was stabbed multiple times by MS-13 members. And from what we know is these jails, your jail, those doors are operated electronically. So only an officer is able to open an inmate's door. Now, Mustafa recently was complaining about gang members being at his door. These are 3 trustee inmates that this happened in October, where they were banging on his door. They were shoving water from underneath his door. They flooded his cell with the correctional officers standing idly by, laughing at the whole situation. For 3 trustee inmates to bang on his door, threaten his life for 30 minutes with no action from officers, it just shows you what kind of jail you're running here. That there's no order. That inmates that are gang affiliated are able to threaten Mustafa's life.
They told him that we're going to get the door open.
They're telling him that the officers are going to pop his door open and they're going to go in and they're going to stab him. This is something that happened to another inmate about 6 months ago. That inmate is on release right now. He goes by the name Sonic. So Mustafa made a formal complaint to Captain Powell and Major Herlock. We came in with those concerns. We told them that, and Mr. Miletus, we informed them of these threats that my brother is getting, and their solution was to cover up my brother's window. So they said they're putting him in protective custody. Now, what is protective custody? This is what we know from Mustafa. He's sitting in the same jail, in the same cell,
with the same inmates all around him. All they did was come up to him and they covered his door. They didn't move him to a different unit. They didn't move the other inmates to different units. The same inmates are in the same units. All they did was essentially block his view. So my brother is in.
Imagine losing everything in a single horrific moment. Mustafa Al-Jazari survived a tragic car accident, but the crash stole his loved ones. Yet this unimaginable loss was only the beginning of his nightmare.
Police arrived, already targeting him due to a prior lawsuit worth $1 million. Prior to looking at the facts, police officer Casey Fines immediately started spreading rumors that Mustafa is a drug user, which started a chain of events leading to the false narrative, baselessly alleging drug use at the scene. After being airlifted to Fairfax Hospital in a coma, upon waking up from the coma, Mustafa desperately asked about his loved one's whereabouts and even pleaded with the officer to take him to girlfriend Dorothy, who was in the vehicle with him.
Officers Matthew Surdam and investigator Chad Mason repeatedly lied to him and told him that his family was just fine and that he needed to relax. Hours later, while induced with fentanyl, Chad Mason interrogated Mustafa on the hospital bed, only to tell him that his girlfriend Dorothy has been dead for 3 hours. Devastated, Mustafa was in shock. Just 2 days later, he was arrested. The basis? Falsified statements attributed to Officer Drum. Despite clean blood tests proving his innocence regarding drug use, he was falsely charged with DUI. When his family courageously exposed the lies, the system retaliated. The charges against Mustafa were shockingly upgraded to murder. This was a clear punishment for challenging their fabricated story. For 2 long years, Mustafa has been held in solitary confinement. He is denied basic due process, isolated from the world. Reports detail abuse at the hands of jail guards. Meanwhile, prosecutors and officers are colluding to actively delete evidence. Evidence is being deleted, witnesses manipulated. The media spreads false news, deliberately ignoring video evidence that could exonerate him. This is not justice. It is a blatant, horrifying injustice. Mustafa Al-Jazari is a victim of a corrupt system. We must fight for his freedom and expose the truth. Imagine losing everything in a single horrific moment. Mustafa Al-Jazari survived a tragic car accident, but the crash stole his loved ones. Yet this unimaginable loss was only the beginning of his nightmare.
Police arrived, already targeting him due to a prior lawsuit worth $1 million. Prior to looking at the facts, police officer Casey Fines immediately started spreading rumors that Mustafa is a drug user, which started a chain of events leading to the false narrative, baselessly alleging drug use at the scene. After being airlifted to Fairfax Hospital in a coma, upon waking up from the coma, Mustafa desperately asked about his loved one's whereabouts and even pleaded with the officer to take him to girlfriend Dorothy, who was in the vehicle with him.
Officers Matthew Surdam and investigator Chad Mason repeatedly lied to him and told him that his family was just fine and that he needed to relax. Hours later, while induced with fentanyl, Chad Mason interrogated Mustafa on the hospital bed, only to tell him that his girlfriend Dorothy has been dead for 3 hours.